We're never gonna grow up.
Finalist of Season 19 of The Voice and Hudson Valley native, Ian Flanigan. Mental Health America of Dutchess County and Reviver Entertainment Group present The Sound of Nashville in the Hudson Valley's Queen City with Grand Ole Opry member Craig Morgan, two-time Grammy nominee Maggie Rose, viral sensation Jake Banfield, and special guest Broadway to country star Brooke Moriber. Ian Flanigan. Tuesday, October 6th at the Bardavon Opera House. Visit bardavon.org for ticket information. Hey there, and thank you very much for tuning in to Your Best You, real conversations on mental wellness, brought to you by MHA of Dutchess County and the Northern and Southern Dutchess Community Coalitions. Not just that, we are having a Starlight Spotlight. Yes, this is our segment where we get to speak with industry leaders, professionals from in and around the Hudson Valley, talking about their success and psyche. Today is the first of our numerous artists that are going to be featured at the Sound of Nashville benefit concert happening on October 6th. And it's very apropos that we are starting with this guy, because not only is he going to be one of the performers, he's also our host, and he's also one of our award recipients. So I think it makes sense that he's our first interview in the series in regard to the concert. So with us today, we have singer-songwriter and season 19 finalist of The Voice, Blake Shelton. His team leader specifically said he's a once-in-a-lifetime vocalist. High praise. With us today, we have Hudson Valley native Ian Flanigan. Ian, how are you, man?
Hey, Connor. Thank you for having me on, brother. Appreciate being here.
Absolutely. Again, thank you so much for being a part of this concert. Thank you so much for partnering for MHA. And it is so great seeing you again. We were just saying off the mic how last time we saw each other was at MHA's gala last year. And now this concert is essentially the stand-in for the gala. So that's kind of cool how we're kind of upgrading.
I know. It's awesome, man. I think it has been just under a year since we first met. But no, I'm honored to be a part of anything MHA. All good causes here. So really just honored to be here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, not only you're going to be performing, but you're going to be emceeing it, and you're receiving the Beacon of Hope Award. That's huge. So how's it feel to be welcomed back in here in your home region, work on a concert of this scale with incredible performers in front of an incredible audience?
Oh, it's going to be exciting, man. One, I'm super humbled and grateful to just be a part of this. These are really important, big missions, and I treat it with a lot of care and a lot of respect because, we're out here trying to save lives. So awards aside, one, I'm super humbled that they even thought of me for that, so I'm honored. But secondly, I'm excited to host a great night. These artists are all super talented, some of the best in the world, and really just hope to build a lot of relationships between the audience members, the artists, and the mission itself.
Again, we have a pretty stacked lineup. Besides yourself, which honestly, we could have just had a concert with you alone and that would have done well. But besides that, we have Grand Ole Opry member Craig Morgan. We have two-time Grammy Award nominee Maggie Rose. We got viral sensation and up-and-comer Jake Banfield. And we got Broadway to country star Brooke Moriber. Have you had a chance to work with any of these artists before?
Yes, it'll be my first time with Jake and Craig. This show will be my first time getting to meet them, and I'm really excited. I'm a huge fan of both of them. Maggie, I have gotten to perform with and see her performances down in Mexico, where she just is an insane talent. I've worked with Brooke Moriber quite a few times, and I produce some of her music, and we perform together a few times a year. So it's gonna be a little bit like going home and bringing the friends back and meeting some new people too.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I wasn't sure what the connections were all like, but that's awesome. I knew that you had some connection with Brooke, but I wasn't too sure beyond that. So that's neat. It's a homecoming in a number of different ways. So that's nice that you're going to be able to experience that. Have you had a show at the Bardavon before?
No, I had one scheduled about 4 years ago, and we had to postpone it, and it never ended up happening, which was heartbreaking because it is such a historic, gorgeous place to make music. And I'm just so excited to be back here. It's a one-of-a-kind building.
Yeah, cathartic in a way, I'm sure. It's like, hey, yeah, it's finally time.
Well, it's always been a bucket list for me, too, growing up there. It's always been highly regarded.
Speaking of growing up in this area, you were actually recently just here. You performed over at the Orpheum, and then you also played at the Town Crier Cafe. I saw some clips of that. Incredible stuff. Walk us through coming back and doing these, hometown shows like Orpheum. That's literally your backyard, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so my family, we were Flanigan's cleaners on Main Street. My dad, my grandfather, we had a dry cleaning business there. So I basically grew up in that building, and that is directly across the street from the Orpheum. I've seen 1,000 movies there, a ton of stories, but I recently found out that they were doing live music. And then I was like, it's hard to find a venue in Saugerties. So this would be perfect to get right in the hometown for a lot of people that don't travel out. It was just beautiful, man. They've done a great job. Upstate Films has really, really put a lot of love into that building. And, you know, coming home, Saugerties has some of the best people in the world, man. They're my friends and family. So it's like just a big party coming together, and everybody showed up, and we had a good time. And, you know, Town Crier down in Beacon, Phil, the man who owns it, he was one of the first people to kind of give me a couple shots at some larger stages, open mics 10, 12 years ago. He's just a huge supporter of the music industry. There's not a lot of venues quite as beautiful and cared for and crafted in the sense of like his vision of how a night and how the entertainment should go. Really just an honor to be able to get on that main stage and connect with people, and kind of full circle moments for me this past month.
That's awesome. It's beautiful what you said there. I think that really ties it together. Upstate Films, they do such great stuff. I've partnered with them a couple of different times over the years, like starting back in high school, you know, for various things. And what they're able to do for the community is really outstanding. So I'm glad you were able to partner with them. And then when it came to Town Crier, you know, that's got a special place in my heart as well. I remember when they were still in Pauling, you know, so that was I believe their second
20
location.
Years ago?
20 years ago. That was their second location. I can't remember what the first location was, but then Pauling, and then now Beacon. And, you know, I've followed along, seen some fantastic shows. I've played the open mics there too. So, dude, I totally get what you're saying. Phil does such a great job over there of supporting live music, as my hat says, supporting live music. Yeah.
100%. It's not easy, man. What he does is not easy work. So grateful for him.
Not at all. But what you're doing is not easy work either. You know, putting yourself out there, making yourself a name in music, and really grinding on it. I think that's huge. And to be able to get the following and recognition that you have, congratulations to you. I think it's been great, and can only see you rising and rising from here on. You talked about growing up, living in your family business and whatnot, but when it came to growing up in this area, what was it that sparked your love for music, and what told you to be a musician?
Well, one, thank you. That was very kind of you to say. Two, you know, since I was like 10 years old, and I mean like a kid, but right, first memories for me, I just had a very, very serious calling towards it. I didn't know why. It just made me feel good. I know my parents played like 3 records back to back, and, you know, one was Creedence Clearwater Revival, one was Bob Marley's Legend, and my mom played a lot of Elvis. And somewhere in between all them is where I'm at today. And I don't know, music just kind of made me feel good. Like I've always felt it. I've always seen it in like colors, and like, I don't know why, but music's always been a really safe spot for me, and just really healing. And I've never treated it other than a friend, really. You know, and I was the only child growing up in West Saugerties. So, you know, I had a lot of time to kill. I got a guitar, and really it was just from there where I was like, hey, I don't really need much more. This is kind of perfect. And I got my first lessons from a guy named Chuck Masasi down in Glasgow, New York. And Chuck, you know, he was just at my show in Saugerties. He's still a great mentor and a really dear friend to me. He leaned in a way that I think helped it sustain for life. He didn't force feed me how to play guitar. He taught me how to compose my songs. I was always writing lyrics as a kid, and he helped me shape them. And instead of necessarily guitar lessons, he kind of gave me like song crafting lessons. And really that's just where it was me and him, and a lot of woodshedding.
There you go. That's great. That's actually very similar to what I had with my guitar teacher too, Helen Navakian, who was another great teacher who she saw you familiar with Helen?
Yes.
Yeah, no, love Helen. And she saw the songwriter bug in me too. And yeah, it was more songwriting lessons than it was formal guitar lessons. Phenomenal stuff. So the fact that you had it so early on, one thing when it comes to the arts, you know, some people can be a little weary about it because it is a tough industry to get into. Was that a concern by friends, family, people in your community when you're like, hey, I find joy, peace, and catharsis in music. This is what I want to do?
You know, honestly, I would say it was the opposite for me, where
Really?
I have seen across my life in the country and different people I've met where the financial instability or the kind of reckless nature of pursuing art as a full-time career becomes more of a burden for society's mindset, and that kind of weighs on you, where it's like, you know, I'm going to be 37 and I'm still gigging, writing songs, and that would scare a lot of people, you know. But I actually had a lot of family, friends, and community that kind of put art just on the same pedestal as anything else, where it was like not just reckless passion, but if you treat anything with that intention and care like a business, then it is, you know. And I think that's for everybody out there, where especially nowadays where, you know, you can come up with any idea and monetize it. But for me, I think it was more of an all-consuming part of my life that everybody wouldn't imagine it any other way. So, you know, I was like 8 hours a day playing since I was a kid. There was no other path I was going to do. But man, I'll tell you, I had a lot of love. There was always friction, and people would have their suggestions. But for me, it was always I was going to do it till the wheels fell off. And they haven't fallen off all the way yet.
No, that's perfect. I'm glad that you had that support in your life. I know I certainly did, but it was funny because when I went away to music college, it was funny how many people that I was there in classes with whose families didn't support or agree with their decision to go to music college. And some of them who were just putting themselves through college. And it's like, wow, I'm really lucky to have the support that I do. And it sounds like that you had very similar support in that sense.
Well, I'll tell you, and it ties into what we're talking about with MHA and other organizations where people can financially support you, they can emotionally support you, but keeping that hope alive, where if somebody supports your dream and takes it seriously and lets you believe in yourself, that is worth more than any kind of other investment you could find, and it ties into like the work we're doing right now with the recovery community, where as long as you do have hope and you can believe, then the rest will work itself out with effort. It's when you put doubt in people's minds is when they hesitate, and that hesitation keeps you from taking the right next step.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, to quote, somebody who grew up in this area as well, FDR, we have nothing to fear than fear itself. Obviously that was said about war times, but I feel like you can apply it to just about almost any other time in life because fear is the thing that holds us back and hope is the way that we combat that. I was going to save this question for later in the interview, but since we are talking about Hope, let's talk about Hope Rocks for a second. That's an organization that you are very proud to be a part of. I was a part of one of the festivals, was it last year? Last year it must have been. It's a great festival. It's a great organization. Would you like to talk about your involvement with it?
Sure. Yeah, I've been on the board for Hope Rocks for almost seven years now. Hope Rocks is one of these organizations. It's super rare because there is literally no music festivals around recovery. It's a hard topic, and it's hard to bring people out and celebrate while you're kind of addressing these harder issues, and the main mission of Hope Rocks is destigmatizing mental illness, isolation, addiction, depression, all of that, because when you can remove the stigma, you can begin a conversation where people are relaxed and, understand that you're not alone and there are resources and help, and it's very normal, and that is the mission in essence. And what Joe DeFino and the whole team over there have done, I think, is pretty remarkable, because the amount of moving parts and people that it takes to do these kinds of things, especially when it's not, a standalone structure venue that's built for this. It's like they do pop-ups, they show up all over the place. And that amount of effort and coordination takes a lot of love. So these people are, living and breathing this, and they're doing some real good work.
No, it's great stuff over there. The festivals, the music, the work, very inspiring. And the fact that you're behind it and a part of it, that's great. Bringing community, charity, and music all together, that's the way that we can create change and we can create love and create great art. With that being said, you said the recovery community, that is something that is very near and dear to your heart, especially because, you're very much a part of it. You and I talked at the very end of the MHA Gala last year about both of our struggles with alcohol, and that was something that we were able to kind of bond over at the time. Being a musician out on the road and the stresses and the lack of sleep and the pressures that you're under, could you walk us through what that looked like for you going through your struggles and then the overcoming that substance issue?
Yeah, sure. I mean, everybody's story is so uniquely different. And I really do believe a lot of the addiction or abuse of any kind of substance is really a Band-Aid on an underlying issue. For me, I've gone through therapy for years and have addressed a lot of those underlying things to where alcohol or drug use was really something I used to self-medicate and cope a lot and try to just disappear. And that was my struggle. I think what happened to me is I left pretty early on, 17, 18. I was living in Watervliet up in Albany, and then I moved down to Orlando, was gigging there. And back then, the whole mentality of what we do as artists was live in a city for a year, saturate the market, play as much as you can, then pack up and move to another city and do the same thing for a year while you split your time going backwards. And then eventually you have, a national touring route because you've lived across everything. And that honestly is still the framework for a great grassroots musician, but it's a hard life. And, when you're starting out, you get paid in alcohol, you get paid in, favors and things like that. And it's not a traditional business. And I got caught up in that young, and I had a few older musicians in my circle that they were going through their own undiagnosed problems. But, when your life becomes, 9 p.m. till 2 a.m. every time, and you're just abusing everything, because it's also the only monetization you get, is just sets you up for a really bad habit. And for me, I think it was a mixture of being kind of lost as a young guy, not really knowing where I belong or how to make this work, or having any really structured framework for what I needed to do, mixed with all these influences, and then just honestly loving it. It's the other side of addiction, is you learn to love it. It becomes your best friend. And by the time you're messing your life up enough to say goodbye, it's a hard goodbye, because not only is it physically dependent, but it's also your crutch. It's your one of your best friends. It's very awkward love story is what it is. So, I ended up getting in trouble a few times and checked myself into a rehab eventually, and that did great work, but I did relapse. And then I went out on my journeys again, and about a year later, I went into a detox, and I was really, really messed up, and that one just clicked for me. And music was kind of a gateway into it, but also it was the one thing that really pulled me out. I dove into the songwriting harder, because I came to a point where I realized this will never happen, because my addiction is going to ruin any chance of anything, career, relationships, whatever it was. It was all gone down in flames. I just dove back into why I loved it when I was a kid, like we were talking about. Like, that friend replaced this new one that was killing me. And I just dove into the artistry. I dove into the craft, and music gave me enough again. But I took a hiatus from that, and I replaced it with substances. And just very grateful that I had those chances to start over. Not everybody does, and I understand how lucky I am.
Wow. That's beautifully painful what you were able to describe right there, but it's fascinating what you were able to go through. There's a couple of things that you said through your journey that I just want to focus on for a second. Thank you for bringing up the fact that you relapsed at one point. That's huge when it comes to people's recovery, because so many people are scared of the relapse, or so many people don't want to talk about a relapse because they feel like it makes them look weak, or it makes them look like they're not trying. We deal with people all the time here at MHA who are saying that or fearful of that. But the fact that, you brought it up and you say that's part of your journey and, it helped you. Thank you for saying that.
Of course. I mean, that was the short version. There's 50 relapses. There's definitely multiple. So anybody listening going through it, I just wish you all the best and love, and don't even hold on to it. It's one day at a time for a reason, and we get a lot of bumper stickers in the community, but they're there for a reason. One day at a time. Yeah. If that was yesterday, it's not here today. Today's brand new.
The other thing that I want to focus on there is how you were saying music, in a way got you into it, but also got you out of it, and how you referred to it as an old friend. It's like, the old friend was able to help you out, is like return you home, kind of very similar to the themes that we've been talking about already, of coming home here to the Hudson Valley, hosting this concert, doing all these things together. There is a catharsis to it. I thought that was beautiful, what you said. So now I'm curious, timeline wise, was getting clean before or after your time on The Voice?
It was before. I got clean about 6 years before. My timelines are terrible. About 6 or 7 years before The Voice, I hadn't been using for a really long time by the show, which thank God, because there's a lot of pressure in those situations. And I saw some people that were relying on their crutches and vices. And, I think I needed about half a decade to get through that one. Understandable.
It takes everybody different timelines. So it sounds like you got to The Voice at the right time in your life then. You were ready. You were seemed stable enough in that regards. What was that like? Walk us through the decision to even go and do The Voice, and then what it was like once you got there.
Sure. My story is always really different. I didn't ever watch the show growing up, just some clips, I understood that in American Idol, what it was about, but they were always very cover heavy. It's all cover music. Mm-hmm. And as a raspy baritone, I just never even considered the show, because I do all original music. And, if I sang Journey, it doesn't really hit the same way, But I was on my travels. I was on a tour for about a year, I guess. And I had just come from Texas to Nashville, and I was only going to stay in Nashville for about 2 or 3 months. Had a few shows. And I got in Nashville in 2020 when tornado hit East Nashville. It was really terrible, just destroyed a lot. And COVID was just beginning to run rampant. And I mean, they were, closing borders. Everybody was panicking, buying toilet paper and Lysol. And, if you remember, it was wild. And my last show that didn't get canceled was an open mic at a place called the Mercy Lounge. I was running out of money and was debating just posting up and not going. And I went to this open mic, and it ended up being a scouting opportunity for the show. So after I played with the house band there, I had a gentleman come up to me and ask me if I wanted to be a part of this next season, and they were looking for alternates. So I basically had a very sideways backdoor approach to getting on this show. I basically said, I just lost every gig I had, and I'm living in a trailer park, so I would love to be a part of this.
Wow.
Yeah, and I went in with a different mentality than a lot of people because I wasn't necessarily seeking any of this. So when I got there, I understood that I was also an alternate for the show, and I might not audition at all. So I went in with very low expectations, and I think the key to life is, having low expectations and then celebrating whatever happens.
Yeah.
So I got to go in really calm and just kind of look at it as a learning opportunity of maybe, that really helped me because I didn't have this intense pressure.
Yeah. And when it comes to the voice and being an alternate, so yeah, that is kind of like a backdoor method of getting in there. One thing that a lot of the main populace doesn't quite understand, there's a lot of steps before you get up to the stage and you have the 4 judges who turn around for you. There's
months.
There's a lot of things that have to happen before you get there.
Yeah, there's months of it, between meetings, song selections, multiple auditions, background checks, all that good stuff. They take it very seriously, and they're super organized. So it is a no joke situation, but they're also extremely kind and like uplifting. And, I'm sure there's a lot of horror stories from these kinds of television shows, but for me, I thought everybody was super sweet, and it went really, really easy as far as the coordination of it. It's hard to move people across the country to go live in Hollywood.
It is tough. That is a very, very tough
thing. It's a
thing
lot of
to
people.
do.
They bring out hundreds of people. So, it's a lot of process.
So when you do finally get to the moment of being up there on the stage and having this opportunity, you have all the chairs turned away from you. How daunting that must feel. But then when it came to getting selected, were you hoping right away? It was like, dang, I really hope I get Team Shelton. Like, what was your mindset?
I'm going to tell you something. One of the things in my life, I've always been like my least fan. If you have a greatest fan, I'm always like not into what I'm doing in a sense. I'm always trying to get better, and I'm always like, I kind of downplay a lot of things. So I can be my biggest critic most days. But my main focus was don't fall. It's very dark. There's no light when you get out. And I was like, I'm going to be the guy that goes up and falls on my face and then botches the whole song. So I was like literally a second by second kind of contestant up there. I was like, if I get to the mic and don't fall, then I will start on time and then I will see what happens. So my mind works like that with shows where I don't actually think big picture. I'm very present. And that's where I'll forget lyrics and miss notes sometimes because I'm just riding the line in real time. So my brain kind of fogged out the whole experience. It's very, very cool. It's a really beautiful studio. It's very big. And the chairs, I was like, well, those are real. It's fun, man. It's cool. But I do that because it also takes away a lot of pressure. I don't get worked up too much because if I live right here in front of me and I don't get in my head and think about what could happen, I don't feel like I get nervous. So I have a very, very particular way I go about life like that.
And then going on to work with Blake Shelton, and you guys put out that song together, Grow Up.
Yeah.
Fantastic
Blake is
song.
awesome, man. I was, I was like, well, John Legend would probably be a really great coach to have because he has such a different background and he's piano based that he could probably help me arrange things I would never think of. Blake would be my first choice because I feel like we're pretty similar in like vocal range, and his coaching would probably help me the best for my actual work I'm doing. Yep. And getting to meet Blake, it's a crazy experience. And we were also during COVID time, so you had to keep some distance. But as the show goes on, later and later you stick around, the fewer people are there, and you get more one-on-one time with each of the coaches. And, towards the finale, we were all spending an hour, 2 hours in studios and rehearsing and recording stuff. And it was really fun. And after the show, I signed with Reviver Records, and really it was David from Reviver that kind of reconnected Blake and I sent Blake a couple song options. And I was like, hey, I'm going to release this. Thank you for everything. I love you, man. And, if you want to jump on one, anytime. And he actually hit me back and was like, oh, I love this song, Grow Up, let me come in on it. And I kid you not, he met me in Nashville at Starstruck Studios. Where
so good.
Yeah, he came through, spent a few hours, and laid his vocals down real quick, and we just hung out, and it was awesome, man. Kind of hard to thinking back, I'm like, that is a crazy experience. What a humble guy. Like, he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do nothing. And he gave me plenty of his time. He collaborated on a song that'll live forever. And, he's had me out on the road, open for him a few times. And I just got nothing but love and gratitude for that guy. He really changed my life.
It really
you never
sounds like
know.
it is.
So go to the open mic, everybody. Yeah.
Go to the open mic. You never know what's going to come out of it. You're right. So with the kind of partnership, mentorship, friendship that you have going on with Blake, and the fact that you said, he'd probably be the coach that you probably relate to the most, learn the most from in that regard. What would you say is one of the top lessons that you learned from him?
Oh, 100% authenticity. Vocal coaches are all over the show. There's plenty of technical support for that kind of structure and technique. But Blake has this thing where he is constantly himself. He's not out there trying to be what he thinks somebody's going to want to see or hear. And that was a really reassuring lesson that I kind of got from him. Like, I'd be on the mic trying to hit different kinds of notes, and I was in my head thinking, like, what does the show want? And he's like, man, nobody's here to listen to you sing super high notes. Like, you be you, and that's where you're going to shine. It is something that I take into the studio every day, where it's not about trying to do what you think other people want from you. It is literally being yourself. How does this sound for you? Like, how does Connor sing this? Like, what does Connor sing this like when nobody's watching? And that is the answer. And that is something I live by, and something I try to help with other artists that I'm producing too, where it's like, let's get out of our heads and let's just be as authentic as we can.
That's the way to go about it. Absolutely. Because it's through that authenticity that people will truly be able to relate and gravitate towards you. I've said this a couple of times on the show. You look at movies that are the big blockbusters, and funny enough, how blockbuster movies aren't selling the way that they used to. And people are wondering why. Well, it's because they're trying to relate to everybody so much. And when you try to relate to everybody, you're not pleasing anyone. But then when you have the films that are super specific and niche, that you're like, nobody's going to relate to this. When you take that chance and when you are that authentic, that's when people are like, I see something in this, or I see something of myself in this. And that's when they gravitate towards it. So, Ian, so that being said, the years after The Voice, how do you feel like those lessons and that time on the show affected your career afterwards? It's like, I would imagine, I'm hoping, pretty positively.
Oh yeah, they definitely have. I've been really fortunate, very blessed from that show. And, when you're living in life, hindsight's 20/20, right? And sometimes this world and entertainment business gets really fast paced, and the only thing you can do is one day at a time, look right ahead and just get it done. And as the years go by and the tours end and new tours begin and the albums come and then you do another one, it's very important to like stop, pause, and find gratitude, but also reassess what you've done, trials and errors, and like the roller coaster of it all. And looking back, the experience of The Voice really broke down a lot of personal walls I had. Before any of this, I used to drink a lot because I had a hard time being in public. I had a hard time being social or the guy on the mic. Like, it was very uncomfortable, let alone ever like post a picture of myself for no reason. It's very, very uncomfortable. The Voice will take you and completely break you down at that. I mean,
Yes.
They do 3 hours a day of interviews and photo shoots, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm going to just die inside. But that experience set me up to be able to try and be a part of this new world of online music and online self-branding and doing the work that needs to be done so that your art can be heard. I think a lot of people who aren't in the arts wouldn't necessarily understand that maybe, but if you're an artist or you're a musician, the hardest part is selling yourself. We all love to disappear and make records, but the hard part is actually the record is 10% of the work. The other 90% is going out and posting about it or branding it and pushing yourself and touring and all of that stuff, which can be really uncomfortable if you're not comfortable in your own skin. So The Voice really helped me become comfortable in my own skin and accept that and embrace authenticity. And if I didn't do that show, I probably wouldn't post ever because I'd just be out in the woods making music, So
Yeah. And that'd be tough in a day like today. So that's good. I'm glad that the show was there for you. And I'm glad that you're here for all of us now, for us to adopt your music into our lives. I've been enjoying your music, and there's a couple of things with your music now that I'm very curious about. Post-show, what would you say has been one of the most meaningful experiences that you've had, whether that's been recording or on the road or interacting with fans? What is something post the show that you couldn't have had prior to the show that just has really stuck out to you?
Well, there's a lot. I'll keep it to one. That the way life works is, if I didn't do the show, I would never have gotten on the booking agencies and the labels that I've worked with, which have led to my travels, which I would have done it very differently. And those travels introduced me to my now wife, who we have two beautiful twins. And my girls and my wife really are my whole life now. And in a serendipitous way, every single thing connects, where it's like, if I didn't go on that stage, it wouldn't have brought me to the life that I have today with my family. Because, hey, here's the thing. We love music. We love art, but your family's everything, and you're going to always make a new song. But, your family that you build and cherish is like sacred stuff, man. And, hopefully it lasts a very long time. And I was brought to mind through, pursuing all those opportunities. So that's not a career one as much as a personal one, but really, if I didn't, I would not have met my wife and had these beautiful babies, man.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's
Isn't that
lovely.
crazy? Yeah,
I know
wow.
that is. You look at the domino effect that happens in your life and it's like, how the heck did I make it here? Oh my gosh.
I know, because yes, I love the industry. I love making records and all this, but isn't that wild? Like, if I didn't go on that show, I definitely would not have been traveling the way I did. So
wow, that is something. And I think that's a great segue into your upcoming release. If I have this correct, you're releasing Long Way Home. And if I looked into it right, that was something that you wrote for your wife, right?
I did, yeah. We always have this little joke where I write so many songs about addiction and the devil and all this stuff, ain't the heaven and hells, and we go to these open mics where my buddies will have like back-to-back dedicated love songs to their wives, and my wife will look over at me after the show and be like, "That was really sweet of them." And I'm just
wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. And I always write her love songs, but this one's special to me because when we first met out in Colorado, we were with a group of people and I really liked her, and I kind of pulled her to the side and I was like, "Hey, do you want to take the long way back?" And that was my move. And she said yes, but I wanted to tie a deeper message too, where it's like, this is for my wife. And a lot of it's about just kind of creating a little more time to be together, because life overwhelms you with everything you got to do. And sometimes you got to force just a little bit more time, even if that's just take the long way home. It gives you that little time together. But I tied a few notes back home for me, up in the Catskills, and just kind of describing that thing. And really it's just an upbeat kind of country Celtic tune that tries to capture that little moment.
That's great. And again, if I have my notes correctly, that's June 3rd that's coming out?
June 2nd or June 3rd?
June 2nd. It might have been June 2nd.
June 2nd.
Yeah. Very
I
cool.
should know that, but you might be right.
I might be wrong. It's all good. June 2nd, June 3rd, whatever that week is. So this episode will be coming out before then. So roughly a week before then. So a week from now, go check that out. Pre-save it. I'm assuming you have pre-save links, right?
I do. I got pre-save links and all the things.
We'll make sure that that's in the description of this episode, so you'll be able to pre-save it, and then you'll be able to listen to it once the song is out in 1 week of this releasing, 2 weeks of us recording this.
There you go.
Very good. Ian, I know we're kind of getting to the end of this episode, but again, greatly appreciate you. And I know this is not the last time we'll be speaking between now and October. But that being said, is there any last little nugget that you want to share with the MHA listening audience right now? It could be about the concert, could be about something we talked about, could be about something we haven't talked about. Is there any last little nugget that you'd like to leave the audience on?
Sure. Well, one thing, thank you, Connor. You've been awesome, and love your work, love your music, love everything you guys are doing. For everybody listening, MHA, I know this is going to be a really awesome, fun concert. I'm honored to be a part of it. But the other thing is, come on out and have a great time, and you won't even realize that you're a part of changing lives. These are big, big things, and they help people that are very close to our neighbors and our friends, and just being there is all the work you got to do. Just come out and have a good time and be a part of a great cause. So love you guys and really appreciate this, man.
Appreciate you, Ian. Seriously. Very grateful for everything that you're doing a part of this and the energy that you're bringing to it. Again, make sure that you come out to the Sound of Nashville in the Hudson Valley's Queen City, happening at the Bardavon on October 6th. That's a Tuesday, by the way. But we're going to be having a lot of fun midweek. We're going to have Ian along with Craig Morgan, Maggie Rose, Jake Banfield, and Brooke Moriber. We're going to be bringing down the house, and we're going to be making a change for a lot of people out there, just as Ian said. For more information on the concert and for more information on Ian's music, like his upcoming song, Long Way Home, just go to the description of this episode, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening wherever you enjoy podcasts. We'll have that all together for you. For MHA, Starlight Spotlight, and Your Best You, I'm Connor Walsh saying, make sure that you shine bright today. All the best to you.
Viral sensation, Jake Banfield. Mental Health America of Dutchess County and Reviver Entertainment Group present The Sound of Nashville in the Hudson Valley's Queen City with Grand Ole Opry member Craig Morgan.
Can you hear
Two-time Grammy nominee, Maggie Rose. Finalist of Season 19 of The Voice, Ian Flanigan. And special guest, Brooke Moriber. Tuesday, October 6th at the Bardavon Opera House. Visit bardavon.org for ticket information.
Hey there, everybody, and thank you very much for tuning into Your Best You, real conversations around mental wellness. Not just that, we are having a special Starlight Spotlight. Just like last week, how we were focusing on one of the artists from our upcoming Sound of Nashville benefit concert happening here in Poughkeepsie at the Bardavon Opera House on October 6th. Last week, we had Ian Flanigan. Now we have another featured performer. He's not from the Hudson Valley, but I'm telling you, you're going to really love him, though. Oklahoma, born and raised, singer-songwriter. He blends pop, country, alternative, R&B, all that into his music. He had breakout hits like Boys Don't Cry and Take This Pain. He's right now riding a high with his song Lasso. There's so much that we can get into with this artist, and he's a big proponent around mental health. So with us today, again, one of our featured performers for the Sound of Nashville concert, we have with us Jake Banfield. Jake, how you doing, bro?
Wow, what an intro. Thank you so much. I'm doing amazing, and it's really, thanks for having me. This is super, super cool.
Absolutely. And besides, hey, you're the one that's living it. I'm just reading off notes. Yeah. But dude, so happy to have you a part of this concert. I was just telling you off the microphone how I was familiar with Lasso before I was familiar with you prior to this concert. And then it's great to have you on board being a part of this. Now, I got to ask, have you had much time ever coming up to New York, playing, touring in New York? And how are you feeling over being involved with this concert?
Yeah. I've been to New York quite a few times, actually, like twice to visit. And then we've probably played 4 or 5 shows all around, kind of like all around New York, honestly. Some of the smaller towns, bigger city type stuff. And it's been always a great time. And I'm just super stoked, to be a part of this event and this concert. I think it's going to be super fun. And I'm excited to get back to New York. It's going to be a blast.
That's cool. It's funny because we have such a broad span of people in their careers. We have Grand Old Opry member Craig Morgan. We have 2-time Grammy winner Maggie Rose. We have Ian Flanigan, who was on season 19 of The Voice. We have Brooke Moriber, who started out on Broadway. And then I think you're the token social media star out of the whole group then. Because, some of them might have had longer careers and some of these other accolades. I'm looking at the social media, dude. You have so many followers, especially on TikTok. Congratulations on getting that loyal fan base up and going.
Thank you, man. No, that means a lot. And I'm excited to, just be at an event with all, like you just named, it's just legendary. It's awesome. It's going to be really cool. And like you said, it's versatile. A lot of different things going on throughout, which I think is always refreshing and cool. I think it'll be really fun. A lot of different stories. I'm stoked. Social media has helped a lot, especially get my career going. So I give a huge shout out to that it's a really strong, powerful platform. So it's a blessing. I'm glad people gravitated towards it and they're digging it. It means a lot to me.
Absolutely. And I definitely want to dig into that more in a little bit. When it comes to the artists that you're going to be playing with, how familiar have you been with some of the people that you're going to be playing with? Craig, he had a legacy career. Maggie's been doing her own thing and writing for people. Ian's more recent, his breakout with The Voice. Brooke's been around in various different ways. How familiar have you been with some of the other artists you'll be playing with?
Very familiar with Craig just because I grew up listening to him and like my poppy and his work truck and everything, just always just hearing his voice. So to be on the same, lineup is really, really cool. And then, I've kind of been digging into all the others and it's just so impressive. And like I said, different. It's going to be really cool, which I like. I like different types of genres and different types of songs and voices and storytelling. So I'm all about it. I think it'll be a blast.
Love that. Yeah. So when it comes to 2026, you've been on the road a lot and you're going to be on the road a lot. First thing that I want to start off with, and I try to make things fun in the beginning, I hear you got a little beef with Australia right now. So apparently people were reacting a lot to you trying Vegemite and you ranking it so low. Have you tried it again since?
I did. I got pranked, I guess, by I can't remember who it was, but they gave me Vegemite straight out of the can.
That's not how you have it. But
that's not. I had no. And that was not like staged. I had no idea what Vegemite was. So tried it. It was absolutely horrible. And then, like you said, everybody on socials was going crazy, and they were just like, "What? Who would do this to him? This is horrible." So, anyways, I had it made, put it on toast with some butter. and had it the correct way, and it was better. It wasn't great. It was better though. And I think I got on the good terms with all the Australian people. But yeah, it's a lot better on toast than by itself. I'll just say that.
Absolutely. Well, I got a buddy of mine who he used to live here, and then actually India, Australia, US, then back to Australia. I know he's been all over the place, but no, he says to me, it was like, yeah, that's like one of the things that they love doing to tourists or people who just aren't from Australia. It's like, here, try this. And they love pranking people like that.
Yeah. I didn't know why people were in the back. I didn't know why they were laughing, like in the back. Like my other friends that were in Australia, they were laughing at me. I had no idea. I just thought that's how you ate it, and it was not a good experience. But we're on good terms now. We made it back. I
was going to say, you're allowed back into Australia. You can tour again. You can play your music. They won't throw Vegemite at you while you're on stage.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. Exactly.
That's great. So with this, of course, really blowing up during the pandemic and really discovering the music during that point, and then kind of growing your social media following, and now you're going on tour. You're going out with a lot of people. You're with George Berg. You're with Mitchell Tenpenny. Him, I'm not familiar with. Am I saying his last name right?
Tenpenny. Yep.
Tenpenny. And then you got Lily Rose.
Yeah.
All of that before you get to the Sound of Nashville concert. Yeah. You got a busy time. What is it like being on the road and having this whirlwind of an experience after really creating your musical voice during a period where you couldn't get out?
It's a great question. Yeah, no, that it's surreal. It's a blessing to be busy. We've been on the road since January, starting in Australia, and then hit Germany in March, and we've just been all around, like you said, on the road. It's a blessing to get to play every weekend, and like people show up, and people, because like you said, and my career started, like I couldn't see anybody or talk to anybody. I was in my house, my room, just making music. So the fact that people are gravitating towards it and they want to see me and they want to come out and sing songs back, it's a blessing. It's amazing. And I try to do a free, like a meet and greet thing right after I get off stage, where I can just come say hi and come say thank you, because it means the world to me and I don't take it for granted. So it's good to be busy, and it's been an adjustment, and it gets tiring at the end, but it's also just like such a blessing to just be doing music and singing it for a living. It's been really cool. And the best part is the fans by far, just getting to hear the stories and how they relate to this song, or how they had a great time, or, just hearing the real human and the real humans, that the music is doing something for them. That's what makes it all worth it, to be honest.
That's great. What's been probably one of your most profound moments on the road? What's been a moment that's really stuck with you?
I had a mom that came up after a show, and she had lost her son to a battle with mental health. And one of my songs was able to help their family get through it, and it was played. It was one of his favorite songs, and it was played at the funeral, and it's helped them get through it. Like their family, and her family was there, and it was just, emotional moment, just to know, like I wrote that to kind of help myself get out of a dark place. And the fact that, it was his favorite song, and rest in peace to him, but that his family can now still, they listen to it, and they remember him, and they can all bond over it and try to help themselves get better. That's pretty powerful. And so stuff like that, like in the meet and greet, wherever you hear the real stories of real people and how this song has helped them get through it, that's usually the best moments, and emotional moments, but still so important. And that lights a fire in me to keep going and keep wanting to do it and keep wanting to write real experiences and help other people. That's usually the biggest, most profound moments for me, is the real interactions.
That's heavy. That's heavy. Imagining going up to somebody like that. Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. I too am a musician, so I've gone out and I played a number of shows. Yeah. There was one time in particular, I played the song that I wrote called "Cry" at an American Cancer Society event, and it's an emotional song. But like all the people who came up afterwards, sharing the moments of like, I cry because of the loss of this person, the loss of this person. It's like, those are the moments when you can touch an audience and you can strike a chord in that way. Yep. You're going to be a part of their lives forever. And they're going to link the songs to that emotion. It's huge. That is huge, dude.
100%.
So with that being said, I think that's a really good transition getting into some of the music. It's very hard to Google your name without "Take This Pain" right next to it. If I'm not mistaken, was that like really the first breakout song that really kind of put you on the map?
I had one right out of quarantine called "Hold Me" that was kind of in the same vein of just, raw emotion, dealing with mental health. Take This Pain was a one that kind of helped it get to another level, though, I would say. So, yeah, that song we wrote really, really fast, and it just kind of flooded out of us whenever we were in the room. And it was just raw emotion, just what I was feeling at the time, and it's been able to help people. That's one of the songs that I perform live on tour, and people, at least one or more people come up after and they say, that song has done this, has helped me in this way, or I'm going to go at it because I feel this, or my friend does. And that's all that keeps me going. That's good stuff.
I got to say, that's probably my favorite song of yours that I've listened to up to this point. Extremely powerful song, emotionally raw. I loved listening to it. I've listened to it so many times at this point. But when it comes to Take This Pain, where were you? How long ago did you write that song? And what was the process of going through it?
I want to say it's been 3 years, maybe. It's been a little bit. Yeah, the melody was like kind of given to me in like a dream, like sleep. I just woke up with the melody. I didn't have the words. And I had been going through it at that time, and I whenever I go through it, I like to write about it. That's my kind of way of dealing with it, and it's able to help others, which is awesome. But most of the time, I'm like going through it, or one of my buddies is, one of my friends, my parents, my family, and I'm able to get through it like that. And yeah, like I said, we wrote the song really quickly, like less than an hour. It was kind of just out and then recorded, and we were like, I remember we got done like with it, and it was like an hour later, and we had like the song, and like it was recorded, and it sounded good how we wanted it. We were like, whoa, how did that happen? And so sometimes it just, it's given to you, and you just got to get the message out. I was kind of just the messenger, and it was a blessing. But yeah, that was a quick one, and it was wild whenever we got done. And then putting it out, it felt good. I was just like, this is real. I think people will connect to this and relate to it. And luckily people have, and it's been really cool to see the interaction.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, that's got like 13 million views on YouTube alone. Yeah. And then it's one of your top performing songs across most song platforms. Was the song as quick to resonate with your audience as it was quick to create? Yeah,
it was. I remember one of the first 3 videos I did of it was just kind of sitting at a keyboard or at a table next to a keyboard, like with a mic, and it was a dark room, and the words were connecting. It wasn't even like a visually pleasing video. It was just kind of the rawness of the emotion. And yeah, it started getting traction pretty early, and I was cool with it. I'm not a huge numbers guy, but when I see comments that are helping, that's big to me. And I remember the comments early, like it was like a day after. We're kind of just like, whoa, need this right now. Sending this to my friend that's hurting, that. And I was like, I told my buddy who helped me with production, I was just like, I think this one's going to touch some people, and let's get it out as soon as possible. We didn't wait very long, and yeah, got it out there really quickly. So it did resonate quickly, though, which was really awesome to see. So yeah.
It's beautiful when a song does something like that. I've talked to a number of artists, and the one thing that seems consistent is, sure, it starts out as your song, but the moment that it hits the population, it's no longer yours. It's everybody else's, and how they interpret it and how they bring it into their own lives. It's such an incredible way to be able to connect with people, and with such a beautiful song such as that. So we kind of been going in reverse order when it comes timeline wise now. That's such an important song when it comes to mental health. And I hope you play it at the Sound of Nashville concert. I don't think there's going to be a dry eye in the audience when you do. But with that song and with your music prior to that, let's back up even further. Was it your mental health journey or your music journey that came first? And when did they coincide?
It would have been a mental health journey first. I grew up an athlete, so speaking up was never a part of my life. I just did not. I'm not saying athletes don't. I didn't. I used sports as a vice to not talk about it. So I would go get shots up, like basketball shots, or get on the football field, something where I didn't have to actually feel what I was going through. And so I think whenever quarantine happened and that was taken away, that was first like, whoa, I don't have a vice to go to, which led to me talking about my mental health and having to talk about it, which then led to music. And it was like, okay, I have a way to get this out. And that was through music. So mental health was the first priority, and like taking care of myself and making sure, I was gonna be good. And then music was able to help follow that and then really help become the Vice, but like a healthy one, where it was like, this is a good one.
It became an outlet. It became
an outlet, exactly, an outlet. And so it was a blessing. But yeah, it started as a mental health journey for me, and then fell into music, which is a blessing.
What a blessing indeed. A blessing for you and a blessing to now everybody who gets to enjoy your music. I love it.
Thank you.
So one thing when it comes to your journey about being the athlete first before that you really dove into music.
Yeah.
MHA, we just recently did this coaches conference, and the whole idea of this coaches conference was the first time that we did this. And the whole goal of it was to teach coaches, athletic directors, and anybody involved with scholastic sports how to introduce mental health curriculum into their coaching. And it was really based on athletics and identity. So many athletes out there base their identity on what they are doing. And then for whatever reason, when that sport has to stop, it can be very, very difficult. In your case, just like the guy who started all of it, your story is because of a bad injury while playing basketball.
Yeah.
What did that do to your identity at the time?
Oh, man. And that's beautiful, by the way. I'm glad y'all did that, because I have a lot of coaches in my family, and I feel like that's super important to emphasize. So start with that. But I was full on athlete. Never thought I'd ever be doing music. I was going to go be a coach or a sports announcer, something to do with, it was my full identity was sports. And yeah, so having that injury, we were in Briggsdale, Colorado at a college. It was like a preseason college open gym type vibe. And yeah, that was, just in a snap of a finger, just like, oh, I can't play right now. I can't play anymore. And I had never had that. And it was an identity. I didn't know who I was outside of that. And so other than being a good person, I knew I had that, and I could be good to people, but I didn't know what I was going to do. That was like it. And so, yeah, it was wild. It was an identity crisis on my end. And I had to really dig deep and find out what I want to do and who I am. And it was not easy, but it needed to happen. Like, it was a blessing in disguise. So yeah, I feel like that's super important.
Now, was that right before or right around the pandemic? Tell us about the timeline.
Yeah, so the timeline, I was 2019 whenever I got hurt, and then got healthy to come back in March. So yeah, I got healthy, and then we got sent to quarantine right after. So,
that sucks.
Yeah, dude. So it was. I picked up the guitar while I was hurt, just as like a hobby, at a pawn shop. I went and bought and taught myself how to play, because I was only stuck in my dorm bed. I couldn't really get out. So it was either video games, movies, or like do something that I can, learn. And so I picked up the guitar just as a hobby, though. Never, ever was going to do music with it. Just fun. And then, yeah, I got healthy to come back. We get sent into quarantine. And then it was like, okay, that's where the mental health, we had to check it right there. That's like, whoa, identity crisis. I learned how to play a little guitar. I grew up in church singing. Let's try this out. Let's talk about what we're going through. And so that's how it happened. It was wild, though. Yeah. So it led right into it.
It's a very Phoenix kind of analogy right here, like really rising from the ashes, where you thought this was like, where the hell is my life going to? Yeah. Oh, cool. Where the hell's my life going? This is all right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. What a powerful story, and way to be able to turn it on its head and kind of go from there. So now during the pandemic, you're discovering music, you're getting into the music, you're getting into the production. When as we mentioned before, you probably have the biggest social media following out of the people that we're going to be having for the Sound of Nashville concert. You were definitely like the token social media star, the viral star with it all. It's not easy to go quote unquote viral. It's not easy to build that kind of following. You have 1.2 million people on TikTok alone. That is hard to keep up with. Do you want to talk about the grind and the consistency that you have to go to in order to establish it and then to maintain it?
Yeah, man, it was a lot easier in quarantine because, we were locked. There was nothing else to do. So it was really easy for me to get started, just consistent, just being live on all the time and talking to fans and trying stuff music wise and putting this video out. Yeah, but it's not easy now. It's a blessing. I have to get away sometimes from socials and just not do anything, especially on the road. When I get off the road, the last thing I want to do is really worry about social media. I like to kind of get off the grid and go fish and go hang out with my family and go play pool and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the industry I'm in, socials is the way to get out right now. And so you have to do it. And it's not a complaint. It's just, you got to stay consistent because there's so many people doing it right now. And, not to say you'll get left behind, but you can fall behind a little bit if you don't stay consistent on it. But it's also a blessing too, because like if you get a little moment, it can build gradually, and that's been really cool to see. But yeah, I've always from the jump have just tried different stuff. I grew up listening to so much different types of music, so I would just tease this song, and I would tease another song that doesn't sound anything like it, and I would choose this and just see what you guys like, what do people like. So yeah, it's been cool, and I think that's where the fan following has grown. Is I'm posting a lot of different types of stuff, so I think there's a big community. Like I'm just bringing in different communities and trying to get them to mesh together, which has been really cool.
Beautifully said. Way to bring it all together, because it's true. Your music does span a variety of different genres, and it's clear that you have a variety of different influences. Yes. What were some of the artists that really, really spoke to you the most? You said how you got started in church. I don't know if that influenced you, but like, who are the artists that really got you going? Like growing up in church, it was just a piano and a vocal. So that was always just, it was church hymns, but that was from the earliest memory of what I remember music wise. So I think with songs like Take This Pain and like Boys Don't Cry, they're very piano ballad based. And that's just kind of like how I grew up listening in church. I grew up listening to 80s hair bands a lot. Like I loved like Def Leppard and Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses, and loved all that. And then I grew up listening to 90s R&B, like the Boyz II Men and the New Edition, all that stuff. And then I really got into 2000s like hip hop. I love 2000s hip hop, which like the Eminems and the Dre's and all that. And then, 2010s was a lot of country music for me and a lot of like pop. So like artist wise, Justin Bieber has been I grew up listening to him a lot. Bruno Mars, Jason Aldean, Florida Georgia Line, Sam Hunt. I'm kind of literally everywhere, just on the map. I loved every type of music. And I grew up in a town where it was pretty diverse to where a lot of different people were listening to different types of music. So, and I tried to be the guy that hung out with everybody. I don't want to sit at one lunch table. I want to be at multiple. So I get to pick your brain whenever I'd be at lunch. I'd go to this group and they have a whole different, they listen to a whole different type of music. The next day, this group is listening to another thing. And I just had open ears. I just love music and I love sounds and I love melodies. And so I'm really open to about everything music wise. And when I started doing music, it flooded out. And I was not going to like not be myself and stick to this one thing, because it's not how I grew up. I grew up with so much different influence. And that's a shout out to my hometown and my friends and people where I grew up with, and my parents too, because they listen to everything. So it's been awesome. And I wouldn't have it any other way, because I feel like I'm never against any type of, I want to hear everything. And even if it's like, I don't know what they're saying sometimes, or like, if I just love it all. I just think music is beautiful and medicine. So I'm all about it. Yeah. I've gone pretty much my whole life saying that music is the universal language because it expresses emotions better than any other form of communication, at least that I'm aware of. 100%. And it is so powerful that way. When it comes to that, it sounds like you weren't shy. You didn't have an issue with that. It sounds like you were going around. So that must really help with the stage presence to be able to interact like that. When you have everybody in your hometown, you said everybody is your influence here. Yeah. Were people from your hometown surprised that music ended up being your trajectory after everything was said and done?
Yes, they were. It was not going to be the thing. I was just always sports. But I loved music. I would listen to music before games, or so like that was it. But it wasn't like he's gonna do music, and I didn't think that either. But no, it was always gonna like this guy's just gonna be athletic something, coach something. So now it's pretty funny to like go back and they're like, dude, what are you doing? That's like they're loving it. They're just like, what's going on? So
how many of your coach sheds tears afterwards? It's like, no,
exactly.
He was supposed to be my success story. I was supposed to say I coached him.
Exactly.
They can still say that though. They can still say that. Right. It all came to something.
That's right. It's beautiful.
Oh my God. It's really funny because my dad was a big sports guy. My grandfather, he was an athletic director and coached just about everything. My dad was a big sports guy. And one of his teammates, Guy Chatfield, they grew up together, big sports guys. I met Guy's son, Scott, in college. And then we became good friends, and we're both musicians. So our dads have joked around together. It'd be like, here we are with our big sports backgrounds. Yeah. And now we're going to support our sons in bright, colorful costumes performing on stage.
That's good stuff. And I relate. I get it. Yeah. That's hilarious. That's good stuff.
So that's great that you were going around talking to everybody. And having that accessibility that helps with the stage presence. But one of the hard things about connecting to an audience is having that fear, having some of that pride. And, again, linking it back to Mental Health America, there really is a loneliness epidemic out there. Here you are creating communities on both social media and out there in the crowds. How do you feel that your ability to talk to people and engage with people is your superpower during a time of a loneliness epidemic?
I think it truly is. I think God gave me that ability. I've always been able to talk to people. It doesn't matter where you came from or what you believe in or anything. It's never been a problem for me. So I feel like and it's a blessing because I know that's not the case for everybody. Like some people, I have really talented people that, they don't love that. They don't love that side of it where you have to talk. And I totally get it. Luckily I have that. And I think that's the really important part, kind of my journey, why I'm here is to kind of get the message out and not be shy about it, whatever it is. So, I feel like it's been really good on stage and social media wise. It's been a blessing to have that gift, and I just want to utilize it while I'm here.
Yeah, take advantage of that gift again, my dude. Keep going with it. Absolutely. So let's talk about one of your more recent songs now. Let's talk about Lasso. Again, that was like the song that I found out about you. Is it safe to say that this is probably your biggest hit to date at this point?
Yes. Yeah. It's the most streamed song I've ever had. So yeah.
Impressive. So walk us through it. So here you got emotional ballads like Boys Don't Cry, Take This Pain. And then you got this great, fun summer anthem where people are line dancing to and creating different videos of it online. That was a huge help.
Yep.
Walk us through that. It's like here you got this deep emotional side and now we got this fun party side. Tell us about Lasso.
Well, that's the story of my life too. It really is. I really am a fun, happy guy, but I also have the moments where I am sad, and I think it's important to speak up because, like I said, I didn't used to do that. So, with that being said, Lasso is the fun side. It is definitely the party side. And another thing where I was given like the melody whenever I woke up, I was going to the restroom and I hummed it into a voice memo. I didn't have the words. I hummed a melody, and then I know at the end, like I said, I don't know what. I had that. I went into the studio that day, whenever I had it. I showed them the voice memo, and we wrote the song in like 45 minutes. And it was called Lasso. I had the word lasso. I just didn't know what the song was about. And I thought they would probably shoot down because it was dumb. You couldn't even hear what I was saying. It was just humming. But ended up writing it in 45 minutes, and it was kind of the same vibe. It just flooded out, and it was just so fun. And put that one caught traction early on social media. And that helped a lot. And then you're right, the line dance was organic. Like it was just nuts to see that just go. That helped a lot.
Now, did you start the line dancing trend, or was it your fans who started that?
The fans started it, and it was so cool. And a girl named Kaylin had it just take off. It just went off, and she crushed it. And then other people started doing it, and then it started getting played in clubs. And then, like you said, Shazam, and it helped a lot. The line dancing space is a great space and a big space too. It's pretty diehard, like. These people love it. And so that was been really cool. And it was such a quick write and a quick production, a quick turnaround where it's like, this feels right. Like everything was kind of just flowing. We were in flow state. So it was a blessing. And I would highly encourage musicians and artists to listen to whenever you wake up, whatever you're feeling, whether you need to write it down, you're a write it out guy or a hum it out or whatever. There's usually something there for me. I don't know if that's the case for other people, but I think it's good to get it out, even if it'll never be used. I think it's just a good space to be in. And it's helped me quite a few times of just having something there, whether melody or written out wise, like a song title idea. So it's just given to you right as you wake up, and so it's been really cool for me.
That's amazing. That's great that it was able to hit you like that. Yeah, dude. Let me just tell you, my notepad. Oh, of course, my notepad and my voice memos are full on this thing, big time. So. With that, the fan engagement was able to get things going. Are you a good dancer? Are you doing the line dances?
I'm really not a line dancer. I can dance a little bit, but I try it. They've played it at my local bar in Tulsa. They didn't know I was going to be there either. It was kind of like a random appearance, and people were doing it. And so I ran out there. There's a video somewhere. I ran out there, and she started teaching me how to do it, and it was not great, but I'll have I'll have a good time. So I've tried it, but I'll leave the line dancers usually do a lot better job than I do.
Understandable. And as you said, very diehard community. Even up here in New York, it's crazy. Line dancing is so huge around here. But it's this wonderful thing that can bring people together. And here you are, you're learning a certain step so you can do it together and you do it on cohesion. You truly feel like you're a part of something. And now you got a song that makes people feel like they're a part of something. That's big. That's a great connection. You lassoed them into your life, but they also lassoed you into theirs.
No, man, it's so cool to have, a line dancing song. And the cool part about line dancing songs is they don't usually go away. They're usually, if more people get out on the floor, more people will get out on the floor. It's kind of a domino effect. So I hope people keep doing it because it's really cool to see all the videos of people line dancing all around the country, and over in Australia. It's just really cool to see. So yeah, I'm gonna keep trying to learn the dance, and hopefully I can get it down one day.
There you go. I think you got plenty of time. You're good on that. So with Lasso, if I got my timelines correct, you put it out last year, but it still feels just as fresh this year. It seems like it's still got a lot of traction and a lot of people are just discovering it now. So what's it like to be able to ride that wave of, oh, I released this a year ago, but we're still going. This train is not done.
Yeah, it's really cool, to be honest. And I feel like it has summer all over it, so a summer feel to it. So I'm hoping every summer, it just, it finds that traction again to where, but yeah, it has been steadily growing and it's been really cool to see. And I love posting video and people being like, when does this come out? And I'm like, it's been out for a year, but you have it. You can have it. Just hitting new people, connecting. It's a cool part about music industry and social media.
Yeah. No, very cool. And of course, we're excited to hear that at the Sound of Nashville concert. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
So with that, you have a lot of things in the meantime before we get to that. As you said, you're going to be touring with 3 other artists prior to getting out there. You're going to be doing a couple of festivals. You're going to be having a lot of fun. What's next for Jake Banfield? What can fans look forward to through the course of 2026?
Yeah, well, lots of music. I am not shy about dropping music. I love that part of the process. I have a lot of songs. I write a lot of songs. I work on a lot of songs for that reason, so I can have music to drop. And so expect a lot of music. I have some very exciting features that are coming up that I can't announce, but they will be out soon. And I'm super stoked for that because I love collaborations and I love 2 worlds colliding and, each fan base getting to grow together and enjoy. I think that's so cool. So a lot of features. A lot of expect versatility. I mean, some of the music is different, some of it's in this lane and in this lane. So be open-minded is what I would say, which my fan base thank goodness they are. They know that's how I am. I like to dip my toes in different waters. So, I would expect that. A lot of shows. I have CMA Fest in a week and a half in Nashville. And so that'll be a lot of fun. And then, just some other shows coming up, some headline stuff. It's going to be a blast. I expect a lot of music, different flavors, different genres, and a lot of shows. That's what I would say.
All right. This is going to be a busy year for you. And hey, we just got out of Memorial Day weekend. Summer has unofficially started. Right. It's time to get Lasso out there and get these other songs out there. That is so excited for it. So when it comes to the collaborations, I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I'm not going to talk about all that. But when it comes to the collaborations, I got 2 questions. I would love to hear about your dream collaborations, like somebody who's alive, kicking, and performing right now.
Yeah.
Who would you love to get in the studio and or like share the stage with?
It's a great question. I think the first 3 people that came to mind were Post Malone, Justin Bieber, and probably, it's tough. I think Tracy Chapman would be really cool.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I think
very good.
I think that'd be really, really cool. I just love everything about the music. So I would be so down and honored. Oh, it'd be incredible. But maybe we're putting it into the world, manifestation. But
let's manifest it right now. Let's tag that. Let's clip it, tag it, see what happens. Right. Tracy Chapman, fantastic. Well, everything like with Luke Combs and Tracy Chapman, like what was that, 2 years ago when they put out Fast Car? But again, so good. So hey, maybe some more country collabs. That would be great.
I'm in.
Without a doubt. Oh, I love it. Post Malone, another native New Yorker turned Texan. Oh God, so good. And then Bieber, the Biebs. Hard to go wrong. Hard to go wrong.
All 3 have done like a country collab before. So I don't think it's out of the water. Obviously, they are very, very huge, but I know they're open to it. So putting it into the world, putting it out there, I'd be so down. That'd be a blast.
Post Malone's country album, that full country album that he put out, is a masterpiece.
It is.
I really like that album. But when you really listen to a lot of his music prior, you listen to a song like Circles, you strip that thing down, that's a country song, man.
100%. That's a great point. It truly is. And he's got so many different flavors. I think that's why my ear tends to it, because he's got some of the country stuff and the hip hop and more folk and more alternative. I'm just like, this is what I want. This is what my brain is everywhere and it's doing it. I get to choose. So I'm just a huge Posty fan, and it'd be a blast to do that one day, put it out into the world.
All right, you hear that, Post Malone? You hear that, Bieber? You hear that, Tracy Chapman? Work with this guy. We want to see it happen. And also, when it does happen, can you invite us along, because we kind of help make it happen, please? I would love to be a fly on the wall for something like that. That would be amazing.
I'm in.
So the follow-up to that question, do you have a dream follow-up collab of somebody who has passed on, somebody who, unfortunately, realistically, you'd never get the chance with, but somebody who would be like, oh my God, if I lived in the same moment as them, if we were at our heights at that point, who might it be?
Wow. It's a fantastic question. Michael Jackson came to mind. Michael Jackson came to mind, and who else? Oh, there's a lot.
Give us a couple if you need.
I think I would go Michael Jackson. Michael
Jackson's huge. Yeah. Everybody talks about like his singing and dancing and everything, but like, dude knew what he was doing in a studio.
Yeah. The other name that came to mind was Tupac. I know Tupac had some broken down songs where I think we could get a masterpiece. If I could get a really good hook, I think he could destroy some verses. So those would probably be, those are two that came to mind.
Two of the greats right there.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah.
Oh, I could only imagine something like that. But I'm excited to hear what kind of collabs that you have coming up in the future. You seem stoked about them.
I am. I'm excited just because, like I said, it's different flavors. It's different. It's different. It's different. And I just love that. It sticks out to me. So I just hope when it gets out to the world, the fans are like, this is dope. It's random kind of, but it's also like, whoa, this kind of works. So that's my hope. But I know this is a big part of whenever I release music. If I enjoy listening to it before it's out and I can ride around in the car or in the boat or with my family and enjoy it, I'm okay. That gives me some closure and some peace to like, I hope y'all do, but I know I like it. So that's how I feel about these. And I'm really excited.
That will be something else.
Yeah.
So we're getting towards the end of this episode. Jake, thank you again so much for your time with all this. I honestly would love to just stick around and pick your brain forever on this. I feel like you and I would be able to gel and jam out a lot. Sounds like we got a lot of similar music tastes here.
Right.
But I got to bring this up. Today is May 26th. As of when we're recording this, this will be out about a week later. But tell us, with your love of basketball, how's things going for you when it comes to NBA playoffs right now?
Well, let's see. It comes out, if this comes out on Monday, that will be today's. We're in the Western Conference Finals. We're going to the game tonight. We're in game 5.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a prediction. Hopefully, by the time this comes out, the series will be over. I think we win this series in 7, and then we're going to play New York Knicks. And I have nothing but respect for the New York Knicks. I think they are really, really good. I would take the Thunder to repeat, win it again in 6 games. Against New York, but it is no disrespect to New York. I think they are a fantastic ball club. But first, we got to get by the Spurs, and the Spurs are amazing as well. So hopefully tonight we go to the game, we win, and I'm gonna go for the clip. I'm gonna get Thunder will beat the Spurs in 7, and then beat the Knicks in 6. And if it's right, I will post it everywhere. And if it's not right, we'll never see it.
I would love to see your predictions come true. I think that would be phenomenal. Yes, cool. Obviously, it's really cool right now that both of our home teams are going for it right now. Obviously, against the Spurs, they're 2-2 right now in the series, so it can go either way. You never know. Yeah. Like the Knicks, it was like that was a blowout of a series. But when it comes to Thunder and Spurs, we'll see. But you know what? For your sake, I got my fingers crossed for you.
Thank you. We need it. I'm so nervous. They're just such a good ball club. The Spurs are. So I have nothing but respect. But we got to take care of home court tonight. If we take care of home court, now it's a best of 3 series. We got 2 games in Oklahoma, hopefully, and that's all you can ask for. If you gave me that at the beginning of the year, you're going to have a 3-game series, 2 of them at home, hopefully against the Spurs. I'd say I'm in. I feel good. So let's take care of business. If we take care of home court, I feel good. If we lose tonight, it could get weird. So hopefully we take advantage tonight.
I hope so too. That would be something. Where are you sitting? Where are you going to be at?
I think we're going to the very close to the top. It's called Loud City in Oklahoma, but like that is not a knock. It's like in chaos up there. It's an absolute party, but also the most affordable, but also just like the best environment is up at the top. And that's where whenever you hear games, like if you go watch it, if you listen to a Thunder game through the TV, the chaos, a lot of it's coming from up there. So I'm going to be in the mix tonight and hopefully not lose my voice, but no worries. I mean, no promises.
Understandable.
Yeah.
See, that's one of the things about basketball that I don't get when watching it on TV. Like, I feel you miss out on the best of the crowd. Like, you don't see any of that stuff. No offense to anybody who's right on the court or anything. They're not the fun ones. They're not the ones going crazy. Sure, they might have spent like how many thousands of dollars on it, but I don't want to see you. It's like Billy Joel, how he always leaves the first few rows open to then bring in people who are in the nosebleeds because they're going to be the fun ones. Start doing that at basketball games. Hear me, NBA. Get like the fun people down there.
I like it. I agree. It is just absolute chaos and fun up there. So it'll be a blast. I'll be posting videos on my socials. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
Oh, I'm excited to check that out in real time. Have somebody in there seeing what it's all like.
Yes,
that's cool. That's cool. So growing up, how many like Thunder games did you probably catch growing up?
We went to a lot growing up, and it's just been 2 different eras. You know, we had like the Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, James Harden era, which was ended up heartbreaking. But now it's worked out to where we got the new bunch with Shea, J-Dub, Chet. They've already got a title, which is a blessing. But we grew up going to a lot of games, and I'm a diehard Thunder fan because they came to the city whenever I was a little kid. Like they've been a part of my life, my whole life, because they came in 08, I want to say 07, 08. And that's right when you start remembering stuff I was born in 2000. So around that 7 to 8 age, I was like, oh, this team's coming to our city. So I'm a diehard fan because they've been a part of it my whole life. So it's been a blessing to have them. And yeah, hopefully we can get another ring. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. But hey, I'm just saying, Knicks, New York Knicks, I gotta stay true to my home state here.
I love when the Knicks are good at basketball. That city needs good basketball, dude. And the crowd is so good.
They're not always.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad they're back in contention and like have a chance because I'm a fan. I truly am. I like the team a lot.
But I'm assuming, of course, the Thunder is your top team.
They're the ones. They are definitely the ones. But
anybody's a close second. No, if you have to think about it, that answers it right there.
No, I don't think I have a close second. I am such a Thunder fan. Before they came, it was the Mavericks. So but I don't really like the Dallas Mavericks either. So no, I'm going to go straight Oklahoma City on it.
Okay. Represent, hold it tight.
That's right.
Dude, enjoy the game tonight. Have a blast.
Thank you.
Before we completely wrap this up, do you have any last little nugget that you want to share with our Mental Health America audience, whether that be something about the concert, something about mental health, something about the artistry and musicianship, maybe something that we haven't talked about? Do you have any last little nugget that you'd like to wrap this interview up with?
Well, I would probably say if you're able to come to the show, it's a really good time. I try to put on a set to where we are having a great time, but at points we take our party boots off and we get real and we want to talk about the realness of life and deal with the emotions. And so I feel like that's just a good time. For me, it is. And when I play it on tour, it's been really fun to do that, to have both sides, because I think it's really important. And then last, I say it on stage all the time, make sure to check on your people. You could be the brightest smile in the room, but those people need to be checked on too. And so I would say check on your people and speak up if you're going through it. Sounds cliche, but I didn't used to do that. So hearing that, if someone would have told me that, I would have listened. So and then just it all sounds cliche, but it's not, because it's real. Just be good to one another is the saying I like to go by, because you don't know what anybody's going through. So just be a good person, be kind, check on your people, and speak up if you're going through it. It's not a weakness, it's a strength. And I probably end on that. That's just really important for me to get that. That's my message right now. So yeah, that's probably what I'd say.
Jake, you're brilliant. Again, thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for being a part of this concert. Thank you for taking the time to do this interview today. I know this is not going to be the last time that we'll be speaking between now and October. So I am so excited to see what comes out of 2026 for you. To all of you out there, All right, this is your mission for you. Make sure that you go check out Lasso. Make sure that you make a video around it to help boost it and make it the song of the summer. While you're there, have a good cry. Listen to Take This Pain. I'm telling you, it's fantastic. When you're doing all of that, make sure that you're also buying your tickets for the Sound of Nashville concert happening at the Bardavon Opera House on October 6th. That's a Tuesday, by the way. Tickets on Ticketmaster, and you can go to the Bardavon Opera House website, bardavon.org, if I got that correct. We're going to have it all in the links in the description. We're so excited to have Jake along with Craig, Maggie, Ian, and Brooke. It's going to be an incredible time. If you enjoyed this interview and you enjoyed this energy, you are going to enjoy this concert. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. And we're so excited to see you come October. Jake, thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Mental Health America of Dutchess County and Reviver Entertainment Group presents The Sound of Nashville in the Hudson Valley's Queen City. Featuring Broadway to country star Brooke Moriber with Grand Ole Opry member Craig Morgan, two-time Grammy nominee Maggie Rose, viral sensation Jake Banfield, and finalist of season 19 of The Voice and Hudson Valley native Ian Flanigan. The Sound of Nashville in the Hudson Valley's Queen City. Tuesday, October 6th at the Bardavon Opera House. Visit bardavon.org for ticket information.
Hey there, everybody, and thank you very much for tuning into Your Best You, MHA's podcast on conversations around mental wellness. Greatly appreciate you being here today. And we got a Starlight Spotlight, our segment where we speak with people within the entertainment industry about their success and their psyche. We're speaking with one of the performers that's going to be at the Sound of Nashville in the Queen City performance at the Bardavon. That's happening on Tuesday, October 6th, here in Poughkeepsie. It's going to be an incredible show, and I'm really excited to be speaking with her today. She's a native New Yorker, just like Ian, who we spoke to earlier, and she's a Broadway to now country star. She started off on Les Mis on Broadway as the young Cosette, and she has worked in Broadway, worked in TV, and she's making her name in the country music scene. So with us today, we have acclaimed singer-songwriter Brooke Moriber. Brooke, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for being a part of the concert that'll be in October. It sounds like it's so far away, but it will be here in
It'll
no
be here
time.
like tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Are you in New York today or are you in Nashville today?
I am in New York.
Okay, cool. All right. I think you're my first New York interview. Everybody else has been
Oh,
somewhere
wow.
else.
Well, I'll be in Nashville in like 2 days.
Gotcha. So you're almost there. Very
Almost
neat.
there.
All
Where are
right.
you located?
Poughkeepsie, New York. So,
yeah, Poughkeepsie, yeah.
yep. Hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on what route you're
Born
taking.
and raised around there or not?
Yeah, born and raised Poughkeepsie.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah. And you're born and raised in New York City, right?
Yes, I am.
Very good. Greenwich Village, if I got my
Got it.
research right.
Yeah.
Terrific. Neat. Well, what an incredible place to be raised, especially raised in music, like the history of that area of New York City. Incredible.
It's amazing. I actually grew up right across the street from Washington Square Park. And
Oh.
window, all of the folk musicians and street players, just, I wonder if that kind of got in my blood a little bit.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised. It was just naturally all around you. So the fact that you are a native New Yorker, you've performed in so many venues in and around the area. Have you ever had a chance to ever perform at or visit the Bardavon before?
I actually have not.
Okay. So this is going to be a first time for you. Excited?
First time in Bardavon, exactly.
Lovely. Now, I know that you've worked closely with Ian in the past, but have you had a chance to ever work with or meet any of the other artists that we've been speaking with? We got Craig Morgan, Maggie Rose, Jake Banfield, and then, of course, yourself and Ian.
I have not worked with anyone else there, but I'm a huge fan of all of them. But Ian and I are very dear friends, and we write together all the time. And he's a wonderful, people don't know this about him, but he's also a wonderful producer. And next week, I'm actually getting in the studio with him, and we're doing 3 songs together that he's going to be at the helm producing. So I'm really excited for that.
Oh, that's terrific. So what started your musical collaboration with Ian? How did you guys meet in the first place?
Well, we met through our label, Reviver, and I actually had a song that I had written back in 2020 called Holy Ground, which was about two people making a promise to each other that whatever was going on in the world around them was not going to touch their relationship, and where they stand together is holy ground. And I was looking for a duet partner for it. And we'd gone through a couple of ideas, and then Ian came along, and he was just about to sign with Reviver, and we just immediately clicked. Singing with Ian is a dream, and we have been close friends ever since, and we recorded that song together.
Lovely. Now, I know you, or I should say, I believe I know at least, when you make your special guest appearance, you will be performing with Ian. Can we expect that song in your set together?
We're debating. It's either going to be that song or another song that we wrote together. So we haven't really talked about it yet, so I'm not sure. We'll surprise y'all.
It's still early enough in the process, so you can figure it out. Absolutely.
We'll probably write and do another one before then, and then it might be even another song.
Yeah, you never know. Well, hey, as you said, you're going to be seeing and working with them in just a few days, so you never know what will come out of that. Maybe something will be birthed because of this whole process. You never know. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you've been with Reviver for how many years now? Obviously, David was the one that got us together right now, and you've been working with Ian. So how long you been with Reviver?
I think it's been since 2019.
2019.
Actually.
Okay.
It's been that long? That's crazy. Time really flies. It's scary.
It does fly. But you signed with them pre-pandemic. So that must have been interesting to be able to position and then reposition yourself in a pre and post-pandemic world, working with a music label and trying to promote yourself as an artist. What was that like, signing in 2019 and then 2020, everything shuts down?
You know, it was such a blessing in disguise for me. Not that I wish COVID ever existed, but I was going. I was 2 weeks in Nashville, 2 weeks in New York, 2 weeks in Nashville, 2 weeks in New York for like, the whole year, and just kind of very tired and still figuring myself out artistically. And we were about to really go into the studio and record the songs that I had. And I wasn't sure at that point. And then 2020 hit. And I remember I actually flew home. I think I had COVID because I had the most horrific cough when I got home. And I was like pretty sick. But they couldn't test then. I just, went to the doctor and he was just like, you might have COVID. I don't know. But I landed in New York like right before everything shut down. And part of me was like, I can breathe. I'm like, it sucks that there's a pandemic, but I can rest for a minute. And I became my most creative self in 2020. And I really wrote some of my best songs. And I had a lot of Zoom sessions with other songwriters. And I figured myself out, how to do some production stuff myself, which you're forced to do when you can't depend on anybody else. So that was, for me, it was actually very productive. And I wanted to make the most of the downtime that I could. And I figured myself out as an artist during 2020.
What an incredible time. There was a silver lining in it all where you were able to kind of regroup and find yourself.
Yes. And I hate to say that. I feel kind of bad because I know people who lost people, and it was the most terrific time ever. And it was, it was scary for me because I actually live with an autoimmune disease. So, whether I had COVID to begin with or not, like we were very afraid of me getting it.
Oh, interesting. So with your autoimmune disease and you're having to worry about COVID, you probably took a lot of extra precautions and probably really didn't rush out when a lot of other people were breaking down doors.
Disinfecting your groceries and all the things. We were doing everything. It was so crazy.
Oh my gosh. I don't blame you. I remember I was dating this girl at the start of the pandemic and she too was having issues with that. She herself had an autoimmune disease and it really taught me a lot about empathy and really trying to watch out for others. Unfortunately, that relationship didn't last longer than the pandemic, but it really taught me a lot about that time. And it really helped me to see outside of myself, which is a huge thing. And I hope some people got that out of it. Some did, some didn't. It was a very interesting time period. Funny you say how you're finding yourself artistically. I actually was, as I'm going through my research and I'm studying up, I saw you posted back in January. You got into the 2026 as the new 2016 trend, and you showed off your rocker persona in that, which was very, very cool. I saw the lightning earrings, the big rocker hair and whatnot.
Yeah, I was all Haley Williams back then.
Yeah, you even said in the caption, I may have to channel my inner Haley Williams again.
Oh, that's
which
funny.
I
I remember I said that, but yeah, I'm a little obsessed with her. Can you tell?
No, I love that. Well, hey, some Paramore can never go wrong with that. So yeah, tell me a little bit about your rocker side and how you transitioned from rock to country.
Oh gosh, I don't even know why I went there originally, but I grew up in New York City. I performed on Broadway most of my life, even though I always wanted to be a recording artist. But I would write all these songs on the side whenever I had time, and I would get together with my band in the city. And, I was trying to dance at 2 weddings for a long time, which eventually I realized you can't do. And we would just rock out. And I just loved being the rock star for a minute. You know what I mean? That was my rock star moment. So I just kind of embraced it. And for a while, I was kind of going down the whole pop rock kind of thing. And I was working with another label that brought me out to LA, and I did a bunch of writes out there. And everyone kept saying to me, I know you're from New York, but there's a little country in you, and your writing style, there's a little country. Have you ever thought about going to Nashville? And my manager at the time ended up setting me up with a co-write in Nashville. He's like, I'm going to send you out there. Just give it a try. Let me know what you think. And I didn't think it was going to be my thing. I always loved country music, but it wasn't my main thing. I was listening to hip hop and R&B and Tori Amos and stuff like that. And I just, my parents, grew up listening to Linda Ronstadt and Chris Christopherson and that kind of country.
Classics.
But when I got to Nashville and I got into my first writing session, it was like speaking of lightning bolt earrings, but it was like a lightning bolt hit me. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, this is home. This is the way that I like to write. I like to really get into the lyrics and I fell in love with Nashville. I fell in love with the entire Nashville experience. I never knew what a writer's round was before that. And, it's like sitting in someone's living room and a bunch of people are just playing songs and telling stories. And I fell in love with the community, all of that. And not to segue, but speaking of writer's rounds, I now, I still reside in New York and Nashville. I split my time between the two, but I wanted to find a reason to still do what I do, but do it in New York City. And when I say a writer's round in New York, people are like, well, what's a writer's round? And that's how I used to be. So I developed selfishly, because I wanted to have a reason to still stay here a little bit, because I get the best of both worlds. I get Nashville and New York. So I developed this concept for a series that we now do every 2 months at the bitter end. It's become really successful. It's called Nashville, New York. And I host, produce, and perform in a Nashville style writers round where we fly in some of the best writers and performers from Nashville. We also have New York City performers, people from all over the place, but we do a Nashville style writers round at the bitter end in New York City. It's really cool.
That is amazing. I've heard of it. I've been meaning to make it to one of them when I found out about it.
Oh, yeah, definitely come.
And one thing, our CEO, Andrew O'Grady, I don't know if you had a chance to meet or speak with him yet, but he's had the pleasure of coming to one of your Nashvilles and New Yorks. And he said that he absolutely loved the experience. He enjoyed it so much. And he wanted me to send those regards. He's busy at the moment.
That means so much to me, really. That really does. Because it's a lot of work. I will tell you. Each show feels like I'm planning a wedding. It's a big investment.
Yeah, and
not
just that, but obviously at the location that you're having it in the bitter end, what a historic venue, hosting some of the biggest up and coming artists, more than just up and coming, but when big artists, but when they were still up and coming, Bob Dylan's in the world, and then all these rockers that have come through ever since then. Incredible place. I've had some friends who have played there. Wonderful spot. It's on my bucket list, hopefully one day. But what's that like? What's it like to be in a room that's so immersed in music history?
It feels so weirdly comforting to be there. I feel like the bitter end is the first place I went up to in an open mic when I was just teaching myself to play the guitar, and I never played in front of anyone before. And I was like, I got to get this out of my system before I go to Nashville with this thing. Because I started out as mostly a singer who played piano and wrote on the piano. And the cool thing about the bitter end is they do have a real piano, which Lady Gaga has played all the greats. And I get to every now and then, if I want to play a song on the piano, I'll play a song on the piano too, which is great. But you feel the history when you're in there. And I feel so blessed that I get to do this in my hometown in such just a historic building and place. And I also am on this mission to keep this music scene up in New York, because a lot of the clubs have closed. And what the bitter end has done is amazing. They have survived through so much. But, we lost Rockwood Music Hall, I think, a year and a half ago, which was, that was my second home for a long time. So a lot of the clubs have closed. And, there's so much talent in New York City that, a lot of people have moved to Nashville because the rents were cheaper there. But there is such a wonderful music community in New York City, and the bitter end is helping to keep that going.
And not just the bitter end helping to keep it going, but you're helping to keep it going. And it's a wonderful series that you're doing.
I'm trying to do my little part in it, because I love my city so much, and I love my people here so much. So
That's terrific. What we were saying before we officially started this interview, the fact that you, where you grew up, you were right by, what was it, Washington Square Park? Yeah. And the fact that you were hearing the folk music, you were hearing all the cultural music, it was all just bleeding in from the windows, and that you grew up with it. Not just that, the fact that you're being immersed by the music of Broadway as well and getting all of that, it only makes sense. Is like, here you are, is like New York gave you your music, so now you're giving your music to New York. That's pretty beautiful.
oh, I love that, how you said that.
Yeah.
Like, I was teared up. It's really beautiful how you just said that.
I appreciate it, but you're the one who's living it. And that is the thing, that it's extremely beautiful. And I love that so, so much. Let's kind of backtrack a little bit. Let's rewind. And here you are, you're 8 years old when you get your first Broadway role. Most people will chase their lives to get a Broadway role, and you were able to achieve it at 8, and then you were able to keep going and, you know, make a career out of it, being on several Broadway productions. So how much do you remember from that time period of being 8 and getting cast in Les Mis?
It's weirdly actually very clear to me. A lot of things in my life are not, but that was very clear to me. And I do remember that my mom used to be an actress. My dad was a musician too. And like, they didn't want me to get involved with the industry. My mom had you know, she's an amazing actress, and, you know, she just didn't want to see me go through what she went through. And, but I, you know, this goes back to my always wanting to have been a recording artist, but I always had an obsession with the fact that you could have people's voices captured on, I think it was CDs at that point. Now it's not any of that anymore, but like that they can live forever on, you know, almost, you know, the way that like in the movies, the acting lives forever, but something about voices being captured in recordings to me. And I was like, I want my voice to be on one of those. Like, I always wanted to be on one of those. It was a strange obsession I had as a kid. And I used to, you know, sing and dance around and pretend, you know, but then one night my parents had gone to see Les Miserables, and they came home with the soundtrack, and they popped it in. And I was like, who's the little girl on there? I could do that. I want to do that. And my parents were like, oh, no, none of that. And we had a bunch of friends and family over for Christmas that year. And I ended up getting up and singing in front of everyone, which is so strange because I was not a shy child. I'm actually a very shy adult, but I was just ready to get up and sing in front of everyone, not being on a stage, and just do it. And my mom's best friend said, you know, my cousin is actually a theatrical agent for children, and, you know, she's good. We should maybe. So I begged and begged and begged and begged and begged. And they were like, okay, we're going to put you on the phone with the manager. You can sing over the phone for the manager. And I remember singing Somewhere Out There from American Tail for the manager.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to get, you'd be really good for Les Miserables. I'm going to get you an audition for Little Cosette. And my parents warned me, said, we're going to let you audition, but just want to prepare you. You know, there's a lot of disappointment in this industry. It's probably not going to happen. It has nothing to do with how good you are, but just don't expect anything. And I got it. It was 3 months of auditioning, but I got it. And it should always be that easy. It's never been that easy ever since for anything I've ever done. But I mean, to have my first taste of this industry be on this magnificent stage with this magnificent orchestra, doing this like role of a dream for a little girl, how could you not get bit by the bug? It was just an addiction ever since then. And I loved doing musical theater so much. I did 7 Broadway shows. I loved it with all of my heart. But like I was saying before, I was dancing at 2 weddings at a certain point. I was writing and, you know, trying to perform with my band, and there's just no time to do both of them. And when I was a teenager, I actually ended up losing my eyesight for 4 years. That's when I started really writing music. It became my best friend in a time that was the loneliest, scariest time of my life, because I was going through something that other people couldn't understand, and it was really scary. And I just fell in love with songwriting so much. So 4 years later, I got my sight back, which was kind of miraculous. And I mean, I was performing in shows without being able to see. It was nuts.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how you develop your other senses. I wasn't in pitch black. Everything was just blobs of color. I couldn't make out words or faces or anything. Everything was blobs. I could see things were moving, but just, and they had, the eye disease that I had used to be the leading cause of blindness until they invented steroids and chemotherapy. So I was also in order to prevent me from going completely black, I was on mega doses of steroids for 4 years and chemotherapy and losing my hair. And I won't even discuss the side effects from taking steroids for 4 years, but I'm still suffering from that. But 4 years later, the disease went into remission, which is very rare. It does happen. But I truly believe that music is what healed me. At least it's the thing that got me through. And
Yeah.
at a certain point in my life, I walked into my agent's office and I had realized I had been dancing at 2 weddings for too long and I really wanted to pursue the recording career. And I said, stop sending me on auditions. I'm going to go to Nashville and see how this goes. And that was the scariest thing I've ever done. It was like jumping off a cliff. It's like, bye-bye Cobra health insurance for life, bye-bye 401k, bye-bye making a living, you know exactly how much money you're getting every week. And when you're not, all of that. And I still have my family who's, you know, the Broadway community, and they're very supportive of what I've been doing. But, you know, it's scary walking away from that and thinking maybe I could never come back. And what if this other endeavor that I have is like too big of a dream and I'm, you know, just dreaming too big, trying to make it happen. So it's been a very scary journey for me, I have to say, but it feels right.
Yeah, I'm sure it's been scary. Making any kind of leap like that is really difficult. For having, you know, you said you did 7 Broadway shows throughout your life there. When was the last show that you did there? And has it been just the singer-songwriter, recording artist ever since that point? Or was there ever a mix where you truly were dancing at 2 weddings?
I wasn't successful on the recording side dancing at the 2 weddings. That was, you know, I hadn't really figured myself out yet. I was having a blast and friends and all people were coming to see my shows, but it wasn't the level that I'm at doing it now.
Yeah.
But so in a way it was even scarier because I didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
And I'm still terrified right now because, you know, I'm not where I want to be yet. You know, you're just constantly climbing and it's not an easy business. And it's a totally different animal for me because, you know, I'm used to being the person for hire that plays a role, is directed and told what to do, signs a contract. But I'm the owner of my business. I'm the one and it's a very different animal. And now with social media and having to do all of that on top of it, it's, you know, it's a lot of work that isn't as much of the creative work that I want to be doing, but it's part of the job, which I have accepted. And yeah, so it's, I forgot what your original question was. But yeah, I do my last show. I actually can't fully remember, but I remember the transition was an iffy transition for me.
Understandable. To go from something like that to have a lot of the weight of your own career on your shoulders, not to say that you didn't before, but as you said, you were hired to do a role, you were contracted, but now, yes, you are the head of your own business. You have to promote yourself as a business and going about that. What are some things about yourself that you've learned through this period as you've transitioned from a hired actor, hired musician, hired performer to now, you know, promoting yourself as a musician, as essentially promoting yourself as a product in a way?
I've actually learned a lot about myself doing this because authenticity is key in order for people to connect to your music. And I was always authentic doing what I was doing on Broadway, but I was bringing my authentic self into a role. So I was relating to this different person I'm playing through my own experiences in life and my own feelings. But this is so naked right now. It actually took me a very long time, and I'm still working on it, to realize that I just have to be myself. I'm not playing a part. And in that, I've had so much self-discovery. It's almost been like this crazy therapeutic thing for me. So I keep learning more about myself.
Yeah. Now, you know, obviously the concert that we're connecting for is for Mental Health America, and I'm in the MHA studios right now. So how mental health and identity go hand in hand, I'm sure this experience has given you a completely new concept of what your identity has meant. Am I right? Yes. And, you know, it's like I said, it was a really scary transition for me. I was always very comfortable hiding behind a role and not letting people see all the true colors. I'm still struggling with that. It's a very difficult thing to expose yourself that way. Is So you said a moment ago how you were a very outgoing kid, but you've found that you're a little more shy as an adult. Do you feel it's because that you were able to hide behind roles as you were growing up and developing, that now as you're expressing and identifying yourself, it's like, wait, who am I? And that's where some of that shyness might come in?
It might be. I also think it's a perfectionist stress thing for me, where when you're a kid, for me, if I'm on a big giant stage and it's like Madison Square Garden, that I have no nerves.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone in the audience. I'm just doing my thing and I'm having a blast. If I'm in a tiny room with friends and they're like, "Oh, could you get up and sing for us?" No, 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 no. Whereas when I was a kid, I didn't have the same. It wasn't like, "Oh my God, what if they actually think I suck?" Or
Yeah. That
sorry.
inhibition wasn't there.
The inhibition was not there. And I'm not sure exactly when it shifted, but I think the more professional that I got, the more the stakes got higher. And I stopped singing when we would have like a party for Christmas for people, because I'm a professional now. What if they think I'm not that good? But when I'm on stage with strangers, it feels almost like I could be more myself if there's like a big audience out there. It's a very interesting psychology for me, and I think other performers have it too, but some don't, but some do.
Yeah. When you get in your head and you do feel stressed out and overwhelmed like that, what are some coping mechanisms that you feel like you've been able to take on to really ground yourself, find yourself again?
I meditate at least once a day. I do.
Very good.
Especially before bed, because if I don't do my 20 minutes before I go to sleep, I'm the type of person that my brain will not stop. And I hate forcing myself to sit down and do that for 20 minutes before I go to bed, but it is the most incredible medicine. I would take that over a Valium or an Ativan any day. Give me meditation.
Yeah, absolutely. You're able to center yourself and find yourself in it.
And you realize that you haven't been breathing all day long.
Yes, people don't know how to breathe anymore.
Yeah.
We don't breathe. It's amazing that we do
I
stand
only
upright.
breathe when I sing.
Yes. And you know what? When I went to music college, when I was at the College of St. Rose studying vocal techniques in singing, learning all these different vocal exercises, better ways of breathing, it's like, holy cow, I'm not really breathing. It's like I've noticed moments too where I'm like, it's been a while since I actually took a breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's
moments
amazing
like
how
that.
we all don't pass out all the time.
Yeah, it's so odd. It's so odd. But breathing is such a meditative and therapeutic way of just centering ourselves. And it's at our fingertips and we just don't do it.
Do it. I know.
And then, and it's something that we take for granted because, in our last breath, we can't take it back. So it's one of those things where it's like, learn to appreciate it and hone it while you can now, which is, oh my God, so huge. So while we're kind of getting into this health side of things, you've partnered yourself with a number of different causes, obviously with the genetic disorder that removed your sight from a little bit. I know that you do some activist work with that, but then you also work with Stand Up to Cancer as well. Could you walk through some of the activism work that you do and what it's been like to stand up for these causes?
Another one is there's a rare disease called epidermolysis bullosa. EB is how everyone says it. I don't have to say the whole word. I've been very involved in that foundation as well. Especially rare diseases that don't get paid attention to, like mine was, So I really kind of got very involved with EB for a while, and every now and then I do a show where we donate the proceeds to them. I'm very, my newest song that I put out called Come Out, I have basically partnered with a couple of animal rescue organizations.
Yes, I wanted to talk about that too, for sure.
Well, I recently lost my little boy Sherlock, who was like my soulmate. He was a Holland Lop rabbit. It's about 7 months since he passed, and I still cry once a day. I miss him so terribly. He was, certain animals, certain people, you just get each other. And I had read all these books on rabbit behavior when I got him, when we adopted him, and I knew how rabbits spoke to each other with body language, and we communicated like beyond talking. There was such a bond, and 11 years with him wasn't enough. And so when I originally recorded this song, it was before he passed, and then after he passed, when I released it, it reminded me of the feeling of longing for his love again. And see, I'm going to tear up again. And so I wanted to donate it in his honor to, animal rescue.
No, that's beautiful. And 11 years, that is an incredible amount of time to have with a pet. And I think you're just a beautiful example of how people can connect with animals and how loving it can be. And it can truly make somebody feel less alone when people. I love people, but at the same time, people can suck. So, so to be able to have, right, to be able to have an animal in your life that connects with you and loves you to that regard, that is such an amazing connection. And not just that, if I don't know if you said this, I know I was looking it up. Sherlock was a rescue too. You hear rescues for like dogs and cats a lot. I feel like I don't hear that very often when it comes to rabbits or other pets. So how did Sherlock come into your life then as a rescue? How'd that happen?
So the crazy thing about rabbits that people don't know is that they are just as smart as cats and dogs. Sherlock, it took about a week to litter box train him. You know, they're not meant to live in cages. He was free roam anywhere he wants to go in the apartment. They're so well behaved. They're such social animals, and they're so loving. So I grew up with dogs. I love dogs. I love cats. I love all animals. I'm like a crazy animal person. But my husband and I were talking about possibly getting a pet. And, you know, we were both dog people, but I found out from allergy testing that I have a very slight dog allergy, and I always get rashes when the dogs lick me. So I was like, probably as a singer, not the best idea to live with a dog because I don't need an itchy throat or congestion all the time, even though I would love it. But I had a rabbit when I was younger and I was living with my mom. We had a rabbit for about 9.5 years we got as I was a kid and just brought him home in a little box, put him in a cage, and thought it was just going to be like that kind of animal. And then we realized, wow, this rabbit is so smart. Like, let's throw the cage out. We don't need it. It goes where in one spot. Like, we don't need to. So I became obsessed with rabbits, especially Holland Lop rabbits with the floppy ears. They're so cute. It's like a living, breathing plush toy. You can't, like, your head explodes. So I had sent my husband a couple of videos of rabbits and their owners and showing him like they are just like dogs, like, because he had never experienced that before. And he's like, I don't know about a rabbit. I don't know. And then I came home one day and he says to me, so I did something. I don't know if you're going to be ecstatic or really mad at me. And this was like after 6 months of trying to convince him that rabbits are awesome.
Yeah.
And he showed me the picture of Sherlock and he said, this rabbit needs to be rescued. So I made an appointment for us to go get him. And I saw the picture and I was like, oh my God, let's go right now. And I was like, but if I don't, like, not fully falling in love the minute I see him, we may need to think about it. We'll see. Because I didn't even know if I was ready for a pet, you know, so much going on in my life. And I remember the woman carrying him out and I didn't even see his face yet, but I felt like I was shot in the heart by Cupid's bow. It was like crazy. The love I had for this animal, the minute I barely saw him, it was just his energy. I just felt his energy. And even when he passed, call me crazy, but the energy and the way he communicated with me that everything was okay and the signs that it made me truly believe that, you know, consciousness is forever. And he taught so much in life and he's teaching me. Here we go.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry or anything on this episode,
I want
but
to talk about him forever and have his memory live forever because this even one of my record producers in Nashville, what he said is he defined exactly what it was. He said, Sherlock was a force. That animal was he was a force.
That is a great way of being able to articulate that. No, beautiful. You know,
he said it. And I was like, that's it. That's the word. He was a force. He taught me so much about life. Speaking of mental health, he taught me to live in the moment, which I've never been able to do, and just get out of myself. I've never had that experience before. And I don't know any human being that could have taught me that as much as someone I had to communicate with on a different level than actually speaking, verbal language.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it transcends. It transcends anything above any kind of like English or vocal language that we speak. It just goes to show a lot. You know, it's interesting how we're talking right now about loss of a loved one. When I was younger, up until the pandemic, I did not really think much about mental health. I did not care for it all that much. People would tell me they were seeing a therapist. I'd scoff at it. And I just didn't have the education of it all. Then the pandemic happened and so much came all at once. I was the caregiver for my grandparents. And then when my grandparents passed after a couple of years, I remember through hospice, they were like, hey, you can get free grief counseling for this. And the first time in my life, I'm like, sign me up. Yes.
Yeah.
And that was like the first window into any kind of mental health treatment or education in my life, or like direct at least. And it taught me a lot about myself, and it taught me a lot about where I am today, which is kind of crazy that 6 years ago, that Connor and this Connor, totally different planes of existence when it comes to grief, mental health, all that kind of education. So let's talk about the grief and the loss side of all of it. You know, we have grief counselors here. We have people help get through those kinds of times. You know, let's talk about the way that both music and a love for an animal can help people get through those certain times. Have you found that, you know, not retreating into your music, but really falling into your music and dedicating Come Out, has that meant something to you as the energy and that force continues to live on?
It does. It has. And I've always felt like music gives me a reason for every good and bad thing that happens in life. And, you know, dedicating it to animal rescue, to me, I feel like I want to keep Sherlock's memory alive as long as I possibly can. And this is helping me extend that.
For sure.
It's helping me heal.
That's a beautiful thing. Yeah. What's up?
Can we take a break for a second?
Yeah.
I actually drink so much water. I just have to run to the bathroom.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I'm so sorry. It's so unprofessional, but I literally just was like, I'm not going to make it. And I want to talk to you so much more because every time, but I'll be right back. I'm so
You were good.
sorry.
You were fine, Brooke. You were fine.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Very necessary.
Understandable. You know what? Like, this is probably not making it into the final air, but I'm going to share something with you that's really embarrassing and hopefully make you feel better. So when I used to work in radio, obviously you're working in the studio. You only have X amount of time with whoever you're interviewing in a given moment. And now with radio, you only get maybe like 5-10 minutes at most. So you got to make the most of that time. For the sake of the story, I'll leave what celebrity out that I was speaking with, but they were a famous TV actor. And my stomach wasn't feeling well at all. And it was bad. It was really bad. And I couldn't do anything about it. And I'm in the middle of this interview with them. And I'm like, I'm just going to have to ride this out. I'm just going to have to ride this out. Unfortunately, I did shart my underwear in the middle of the interview.
You're my hero. This has to go on the air.
Maybe I will have to put it in. Maybe I should keep it, but yes. So it happens. Stuff like this happens.
It happens.
Shit happens. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my God. I love it. Brooke, this has been so much fun getting to speak with you. I'm curious about some of the people that you've worked with, because I know when you were on Broadway, I believe you've gotten a chance to work with the likes of Cyndi Lauper and Alan Cumming. And I know you've shared the stage with folks like Scotty McCreery and Dylan Scott. I'm sure you must have some wonderful stories about some incredible musicians. What have been some moments that have stuck with you, whether that was on Broadway or whether that was on a festival or musical stage? What have been some collaborations or shows that have really stuck with you?
I have to say, when I got to work with Cyndi Lauper, I, for the first time in my life, had been so starstruck that I couldn't formulate a sentence when I met her. It was a little embarrassing. And I don't usually get like that, but it's Cyndi Lauper. And she actually turned out to be the most lovely, humble person. She was asking all of us who have done Broadway musicals before, you know, am I doing this right? Am I, you know, and just wanting to give her best. And it was just really endearing. And I have a funny story about Cyndi, though. It was a little bit after the show closed that we did. I was going into one of the buildings where they have a lot of the auditions and rehearsal studios, and I was leaving from an audition, and I see this homeless person in the corner in the lobby, and I was like, oh God, I hope they're okay, you know, but I'm going to keep my distance, just, you know. And all of a sudden the homeless person goes, psst. And I was like, okay. Brooke. I was like, oh God, this person knows my name. Like, what's happening? It's Cyndi. She was trying to cover up so no one could recognize her. And she's like sitting on the floor in the lobby, all covered up, waiting for her car.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I mean, it must be hard to be Cyndi Lauper. You're hard not to recognize. So she was just waiting for her car service, and she was just hiding. And she was like, Brooke, it's Cyndi. And I'm like, oh my God. It's good. I know that voice. I know it's Cindy. I know that voice from anywhere.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's funny. You got to go incognito sometimes if you want to be able to get in and
Dude,
out
I
of
don't blame
places.
her. My goodness. Yeah.
Oh, I can only imagine, but that's funny though. I'm like, what's going on? What's
What's
happening?
happening? What's
Yeah.
happening? How does this person know my name?
Oh, that's beautiful though. Cyndi Lauper, I can just imagine such a wonderful talent, and it's so wonderful to hear that she's so down to earth and humble and great to work with in that regard. What show was that for again? Could you remind me?
That was a Three-Penny Opera.
Yes. Okay. Very, very
And
good.
Alan Cumming was in that one too, and he is just, I love him so much, but he is just like, he started this club in the dressing room, in his dressing room called Club Cumming. This man could stay up all hours, drink, do what, and do an amazing show the next day. It's the
Really?
Scottish Blood. But he was like it was the most fun I've ever had doing a show before. So after certain shows, we would come up to Club Cumming in the top floor of the Studio 54, and we would hang out with him, and and just and it's still. I actually passed the building the other day, a couple of weeks ago, actually, and there's a sign on the floor out, that you can see outside of the building where his dressing room was, where he created Club Cumming, and they have a sign that says Club Cumming. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they actually like put it there like it's a staple. It's just so cool.
They've memorialized it. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah.
Oh my God. I love that. That's
Yeah.
so cool. I gotta actually, there are certain people that I would love to interview one day for one reason or another. And Alan Cumming has been on my list for a while. I'm a huge,
It's been an amazing interview.
I see. I'm a huge X-Men fan, so I loved him when it come to Nightcrawler, and I've seen him in a number of different roles as well, of course. But that was like my first exposure to him, but there was a moment where it is cemented in me, where I'm like, it will be my dying testament. I will get an interview with Alan Cumming because as I said, I worked in radio. And I got laid off in late 2024. And I got invited to all of these different like galas or award shows where I got into it because of my job, but I still got the invite. So I guess I should show up anyway, right? So I show up to one of these things and I'm meeting all these people and they're like, oh, it's a shame that I didn't meet you sooner. We could have done X on this program. We could have done this. We could have done that. I meet this one guy. I was like, I forget what performance venue it was. But it was around this area, and it was like, oh, shoot, if I only met you like 2 weeks earlier, I could have gotten you to interview Alan Cumming. And I'm like,
Come on.
and I'm like, no. So from that day on, I swore one day I will meet Alan Cumming.
You will. You will.
It'll get there.
He's like the most generous actor in so many ways that I've ever met. I remember I had an audition where I had to have a Scottish accent, and I just turned on the record button. I was like, just talk. I just need to record, talk. And he read some of my lines. I was like, this is great. I'm going in tomorrow. I'm going to sound really authentic, but he's always supportive of everyone around him. He's a great guy.
That's beautiful. Do you feel like you were able to nail his accent after that recording?
I had to work hard on it, but I got it so good. I got it so good.
Nice. Can we just say though, like in real life, how thick of an accent he has, but he's able to really dive into the roles where you would have no idea.
You would have no idea. That's the thing. That's what's so crazy. And sometimes he talks so fast with the accent that I actually don't even know what he's saying.
Yeah.
But when he's doing the American roles, it's like, you would never know.
Yep.
Never know.
I remember seeing, yes, go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
He's so talented. He's so gifted.
Yeah. I remember in Son of the Mask, he had an American accent, so you would never have known there. He had a German accent for X-Men, so that's pretty good. What was it? He was on The Good Wife, wasn't he? That TV show?
Yeah.
That was an American accent. So again, like never would have known.
No. Yeah.
Wow. Or who knows? Did he train you so well? Do you have an accent and you're masking it right now? I don't know.
No, maybe that's.
I don't know. I'm just getting silly now. It's been a long day. But no, Brooke, this is terrific. So that being said, we're going to be having you here in October. You're going to be working with Craig. You'll be working with Maggie. Jake, obviously you've worked with Ian prior to that. It's going to be a very star-studded show. It's going to be a powerful show. And wonderful collaborations will be happening that night. But we talked about collaborations you've currently had. Do you have any dream collaborations that you would love to get to do one day?
I think my dream collaboration is never going to happen.
Oh, really? Why do you think that? Who is it?
It's Linda Ronstadt. And doesn't want to sing anymore. But that was always my dream. And oh, my heart that woman with that voice can't do what she, she has such an amazing attitude about it though, because I know people who are close to her, and one of my producers is close to her. But yeah, no, she would have been. I do have some collabs coming up. I have one that I'm really excited about.
Are you able to share?
Yes, I'm able to share. This song is not coming out until October, but we have recorded it. We just filmed the music video for it. We're in the editing process. And there is a wonderful group from Nashville. I mean, they're all from Canada, but they live and make music in Nashville. They're called The Heels.
Okay.
And I swear to God, they are the next Dixie Chicks. Their harmonies are incredible. And we wrote a song together called Golden Girls, which I kind of dedicate to my grandmother because she was obsessed with the Golden Girls and got me obsessed with the Golden Girls. And that show, it's funny, it's on reruns all the time nowadays, but it has always made me not be afraid to get older. I've kind of said to my girlfriends, when we get old, this is going to be so much fun. Let's get in a condo in Florida together and like do all this stuff. And in this day and age where there is such an ageist, there's so much ageism, there's so much pressure, especially on women.
Yes.
Especially in women in my business too, let alone just women in general. There was such an obsession with youth that I don't think there could be a better time to put this song out with the message that it has. The song is really catchy and really powerful and really fun. It's a combination of all three of those things. And me and the Heels singing together on it, the harmonies are so good. So I'm really excited for that collab to come out in October because we've worked really hard on it and I really believe in the project.
I'm excited to hear it. That sounds fantastic. Yeah. And hey, perfect timing. You can promote it when you're there at the concert.
Yes, I can. It'll be coming out probably like a week or two after.
Very good. Lovely.
Yeah.
So you're going to leave everybody wanting more, and you will have something more a week later for them. That's wonderful. Terrific. So again, we're getting towards the end here, but when it comes to this concert, the fact that it's benefiting Mental Health America, it's helping out various programs, it's helping people who are in veterans programs, it's helping people who are dealing with loss, which we talked a lot about, loss, identity, things along those lines. What are you hoping that people get out of this concert, whether it's your specific performance or the whole concert altogether?
I mean, music heals, as we know from my story, and as everybody says. There is no greater healer than music for at least in my experience. It has really been the thing that gets me through. It brings you to that heightened emotional state where you can express things in ways that you normally couldn't and connect with people in ways that you normally couldn't. So I just love what you guys do so much. And, I have had my own experience with mental health in various degrees in my life that it is such an important thing that we take for granted in this world. This controls everything. And I just am so honored to be part of this concert because this is a cause that I believe so much in. So I just hope that it gets the word out even more.
Absolutely. Brooke, we are so honored that you were a part of it. Love your energy, love your demeanor, and love what you're going to be bringing to the table for this. So again, thank you. Can't be more grateful. So seriously, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Connor.
Absolutely. Now to all of you out there. Yes, you, I see you. Don't think that you're protected through your screens. I do see you. So make sure that you grab your tickets for October 6th for the Sound of Nashville in the Queen City, in the Hudson Valley's Queen City concert happening here in Poughkeepsie at the Bardavon Opera House. It's going to be one incredible show. You're going to be seeing artists such as Brooke, along with Craig Morgan, Maggie Rose, Ian Flanigan, Jake Banfield. You're going to get to learn so much more about the Dutchess County community, along with the MHA Dutchess community. There's going to be so much there. It's going to be an action-packed night. And trust me, we have a lot planned in the meantime leading up to that point. So please stay tuned. We have more of these interviews. We got clips coming out galore. Oh my God, I am so excited for this. And Brooke, you are one of the reasons for that excitement. Thank you so much again for everything.
Thank you so much.
Two-time Grammy nominee, Maggie Rose. Mental Health America of Dutchess County and Reviver Entertainment Group present The Sound of Nashville in the Hudson Valley's Queen City with Grand Old Opry member Craig Morgan, finalist of Season 19 of The Voice, Ian Flanigan, viral sensation Jake Banfield, and special guest, Broadway to country star Brooke Moriber. Maggie Rose, Tuesday, October 6th at the Bardavon Opera House.
No one gave life.
Visit bardavon.org for ticket information.
Hey there, and thanks so much for tuning in to Your Best You, real conversations around mental wellness. Not just that, we're having a special Starlight Spotlight where we're featuring industry professionals and entertainers from in and around the area discussing their success and psyche. This is the third or fourth? I don't know which one. That's what it's like when we're recording in and out of order. We're speaking with one of the artists from our upcoming Sound of Nashville benefit concert happening on October 6th at the Bardavon Opera House in Poughkeepsie. Really excited to speak with this musician right now. Two-time Grammy nominee for 2025's Best Americana album, No One Gets Out Alive, and 2026's Best Americana performance, Poison in My Well. She's singer-songwriter, also host of Salute the Songbird with Maggie Rose, works closely with Musicians on Call, and does plenty of other activist work. With us today, we have Maggie Rose. Maggie, how are you?
Thanks for the intro, Connor. I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm the third or fourth installation of this.
Yeah, I'm not sure where we are on the order. I just know the order that we have it with recording this. How it's going to be released, third, fourth, we'll see. We'll see how it is.
Yeah, the listener is going to be a choose your own adventure kind of experience. So
I like that. Good way of going about it.
Whatever you need it to be today, dear listener, that's up to you.
I like that approach. Fantastic. Well, hey, that's where we try to be. We try to meet everybody where they are, but that's fantastic. So Maggie, again, thank you so much for being a part of this Sound of Nashville concert that we have going on. You're going to be sharing the stage with Grand Ole Opry member Craig Morgan, voice finalist Ian Flanigan, viral sensation Jake Banfield, and special guest Brooke Moriber. What a stacked lineup. And then you yourself, my God, love your music, love diving into it all. How does it feel to be a part of a concert of this magnitude and to be helping out with, mental health programs?
Well, I'm really excited about the emphasis on mental health. Obviously, the lineup, I've met Craig and Ian many times and gotten to collaborate with them. I'm looking forward to meeting the other guests on the lineup. They will be my new friends on October. I love the fact that this is something you guys are bringing into light because it's particularly right now a really tenuous time to be in the creative community. There's a lot of tension surrounding this need for social media content and presence, and probably putting too much currency into that in terms of how we validate ourselves as musicians, and also just how the industry is using that as such a metric. I think that's probably what's on my mind the most today. And with everyone's got the algorithm blues with how it's changing. And it's funny that something that should connect us so much is really isolating. AI looming, and it's a lot of weird, big shifts that are happening, and we're trying to just do what we love and play shows and stay physically and mentally well enough to do that.
It's a tough landscape to be in right now. I got my Support Live music hat on, but it's one of those things where it is so strenuous and difficult to be able to build any kind of platform, any kind of audience. And then a lot of the times when it comes to social media, you're right. It's a necessary or unnecessary evil to it. My role here is production and social media manager. When I am not working, I don't like to be on social media personally. I like to experience things in real life, and that's huge. You've been part of the music industry, if I have it right. You've been releasing music since 2011. You've seen a lot change over that time period. That's about 15 years right there. But in terms of technology, that's like a millennia. So when you were first getting started in the music industry and you were first releasing music, what was it like as you were trying to build your audience then versus what you're trying to do now?
We were in the dawn of Twitter when I was first releasing my first single. There was, of course, MySpace. I'm dating myself now, but like you said, these things evolve at lightning speed. So just even 10 years ago, the landscape was totally different. 2011 was completely foreign to how I release and connect with my fans now. But I also think, what was going on behind what I was putting out there on whatever social media platforms existed at the time. I was also trying to find my voice, and I was new to Nashville and like a teenager who had moved here and figuring out how to write a song and, what I wanted my path to be like. So in a way, I'm happy that there isn't the level of documentation from that time that there is now. And I feel for artists who are just now trying to establish themselves and feeling like everything is being observed, because I at least got to evolve and find myself during a time where I could course correct and explore and experiment without feeling like I was looking scattered. I was appearing scattered all over the place. So I think that's my reflection from at least the beginnings of my career and the relationship with social media. It did feel like I was getting to really be known for what I was playing live and for the music I was releasing to terrestrial radio.
Oh, absolutely. And having the way that terrestrial radio was, my background's in radio. So I went through all of that and I've seen the way that things have changed. And it's not as easy to get your songs on radio. And then when you have songs on radio, it doesn't have the same push that it used to. It can help, but it's not exactly what it used to be. That being said, again, we're here talking today because we're promoting a live concert. We're here supporting live music. That being said, it's really weird today how you can build a following without ever having to step on a stage. And that is weird. That is like so foreign for what the entertainment and music industry has been for so long. So please talk to me about why you love going out there on tour, why you like getting out there and physically being with audiences.
Yeah, I mean, I think my career model is the opposite of what you just described. Like, I've built something very sustainable over many years because of just consistently touring and going out and playing live music. I think that there are so few things in life that exist that demand that level of presence from both the performer and the audience. And it's something that you have to physically be at to experience. There are great live streams and everything like that, which I also love that exists now. But there's nothing like the real thing. And being in that moment and the urgency of live music, like there's a forgiveness to it. There's like an energizing aspect of it. It makes you take stock of time because you do all this planning and advancing for this, 2 hours of music, and then it's worth it. But then it's over, and you're on to the next town. And I also think that there's something about what I love to do, which is make sure that when I'm in the studio, I'm able to honor how we're going to translate that to a live setting. And that's how songs glean new meaning and they evolve. I think they grow when you bring them out to a crowd too. We even sing some songs from the record that's coming out in August, just from what we're doing already on the road. It's already evolved the performance a little bit from what we recorded. And that's exciting to me. Not only that's a rapport between me and the audience that has led to those effects.
Oh, without a doubt. I'm very excited about all of that for you. As a musician myself, every time I get to perform out live, it is addicting. It's like the moment is that it's done. It's like, when's the next one? It's like, I can't wait to keep doing this again. And it's not like an attention seeking thing. It's just, there's the rush of that connection. And I love the wording that you used about like the urgency and forgiveness about having a live setting. You're right. That is so beautifully said. My gosh. So with that, you have new music coming out in August, as you said. I would love to hear more about that, but you're also, going to be going on tour with Melissa Etheridge. Congratulations on that. That's going to be awesome. And you have a show at Bethel Woods on June 28th here in the Hudson Valley. So people who are coming to see the Sound of Nashville concert, they can check you out early, make their way over to Bethel Woods, kind of get a sneak peek of what they can expect during that. Let's talk about what audiences can expect at both the Bethel Woods concert and then later live with all your new music at the Sound of Nashville concert.
Yeah, so I'm hitting the road with Melissa Etheridge and Winona Judd. So it's pretty
Oh,
iconic.
really?
Three of us, yeah. Very excited about it. I grew up, I joined, I was an honorary member of a Bruce Springsteen tribute band called the B Street Band. They would back me up as I opened up for them. I'd leave the Bruce songs to them. But in my set of covers, both Winona and Melissa had entries. So to be able to go out with them and introduce myself to their audience is going to be really exciting this summer. In Bethel Woods, it will be a slightly different format from what people will see in October because it will just be a more acoustic, broken down presentation of the songs because I'm the first of the 3 acts. And then in October, we'll have the full band, which we've just done a co-headlining tour with Molly Tuttle. We did a bunch of dates together. We did some festivals last weekend. And it's been so fun to just bring these songs to life with all of those components. And the album coming out in August is called Half Moon, which really documents a lot of the time right before my son was born. And of course, this first year of his life. I finished it a couple of months ago, and I wrote the title track 2 days before he was born. And I knew he was going to be born on April 13th. He was born under a full pink moon. And I wrote the majority of these songs with the same 2 people, Daniel Tashian and Lawrence Rothman, who are the producers of the album as well. So they got to kind of guide me through this really emotional, like exciting, transformative time. And I told them about the full moon coinciding with Graham's birth. And we wrote the song about how the moon is always there in its entirety, but it presents differently every day depending on how much light it's given. And the moon is something that revolves around a larger object, which is very much what motherhood is about. And I was feeling excited and scared and insecure, worried about what it was going to look like on the other side of this. And the moon is always, waxing and waning and returning to itself. And I think that's what I've been doing in this season. And then the album as a whole has this duality to it. So the title Half Moon alludes to like the lightness in the record and also the more dark, even sultry aspects of it, because all those things are still there. And it's been so fun to be out on the road with my son, with us, and have this body of work that has really gotten to capture so much of what I've been feeling in this first season of loving him.
That is so beautiful.
It's pretty cool.
I'm sure.
It really is it's kind of beautiful. I'm exhausted, and I think I have a lot of help, and the music industry doesn't always facilitate female artists starting a family. I have a village of people that help me. My husband and I work together. We have a nanny that we love who comes out on the road with us, and my husband's parents and my parents are always there to help, but they don't live near us. And my band is very supportive. Like, I'm always like, I'm going to tell Graham someday that he lived on a tour bus with a bunch of older dudes who loved him, but totally cool with his invasion of their space. Tour buses are only so.
I was going to say, it's probably not that big. Is everybody in your band versed on changing diapers at this point yet?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I figured.
There are boundaries. There are boundaries and expectations that I don't make of people, but
understandable.
They've definitely tolerated being approximate to a dirty diaper. They've been polite about, the fact that they will have to, be victim to maybe some of the fallout sometimes. Understandable.
Well, first of all, really, really excited about that concert in June at Bethel Woods. We're going to try to bring out as big of an MHA community as we can to that. So we're going to have plenty of supporters there for you. Really looking forward to that. But then when it comes to your music,
because it'll be like a totally different show in October.
Yeah.
And then you'll know the songs. So you'll feel like maybe you're in on a secret when October rolls around.
Ooh, in on a secret. Gosh, Maggie, I can tell how much of a songwriter you are because through this entire interview so far, you've been so lyrical and poetic with all the word paintings you've been giving us. So, I can just tell. I can just tell how skilled you are at it all. So with this new album with Half Moon, what are some of the lessons of motherhood that you have really taken into this and that other new mothers, about to be mothers, or longtime mothers could really appreciate out of this? And I have to say personally, congratulations on being a mother now and starting the family. That's a beautiful thing. I haven't had a chance to say that yet. But yeah, what kind of lessons can women, young and old, get out of this album?
It's funny because what you and I were talking about earlier with live music, I think applies to motherhood. Like, this is your moment. You're going to make mistakes and have to recover. You're going to want to be as present as you can. It's going to be the thing that you most enjoy doing, and it might also terrify you. So I think that giving yourself grace as you're navigating it and knowing that there's really no template and however you want to do it is probably instinctively the right way to do it. So yeah, I think having that same kind of compassion aimed at myself as I do in other areas, lesser important areas like music, trying to do that with the most important relationship, which is with Graham. I'm just trying to do right by him and not, and as gracefully as I can.
Without a doubt. Absolutely. So being able to have Graham and as much as your family as you can on tour with you, obviously touring can be a very difficult thing, being on the road constantly, being away from home, being away from the people that you care about. But it sounds like you have a lot of people nearby fairly often, which is pretty good. Would you say that represents the way that you have toured over the years, or is this kind of a new evolution of it now that you have started a family now?
I mean, I think I've always been lucky to have a familial relationship with everyone that's come out on the road with me. I don't ever view anyone as a gun for hire. I think if you're spending your time to be out on the road with me playing my music and you're away from your homes and families, that it deserves respect. But I also am just someone who's probably going to build a relationship with anyone who's out on the road with me. this has been a different type of approach. I mean, there's earlier bedtimes now, I would say, and maybe a little less tequila. And I think that the priority after the show is making sure that I can do my job the next day as not only a performer, but a mom. So it's really lifestyle changes. I think I do believe, I did a whole TED talk on this when Graham was only 4 months old. And it was like one of the scariest things that I've ever done. But I kind of framed the idea of parenting as a community effort. Like, we depend on a community to put a show on. You have your band and your crew, and without them, you'd look pretty silly just standing up there by yourself. So I think that it is something we should expect of the people that we designate to be in our lives, from a working standpoint or a personal standpoint. And I don't blame anybody for maybe wanting to go a different path, but I think that when you decide to become a parent, you need to know that the implications of that are going to permeate all sorts of avenues of your life, and you know, the people who you are going to spend most of your time with will be affected by those choices too. And most people are thrilled about that. Other people might need to get some distance or find their own path.
Yeah. And no, I hear you on that. No, it makes total sense. You know, I've seen videos out there of people saying it's like, at what point in my life will I want to have kids, or convince me to want to have kids? And it's like, well, if you need to be convinced to have kids, maybe that's not it for you. Well, there are people, like definitely myself included, that just has this strong drive to be a parent one day. I'm not yet, but perhaps if I'm blessed with that in the future, that would be wonderful. When it came to parenthood, was this something that you always wanted for yourself, or is this something that kind of evolved over time?
It's something that my husband and I always wanted, but you know, we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary next week.
Congratulations.
And thank you. Yeah, I know I kind of went by like that, but at the same time, that also is an indication too that this is something that we had to really figure out logistically how to incorporate into our lives in a way that was going to allow for like the best environment for Graham, and also allow us to maintain the ambitions that we have, which are high and big, and still many of them yet to be achieved. So it's something that finally came at a time where we could do it feasibly, and it's made us work harder. But it's also, you know, we look around us at our community and the music industry, and there are not a lot of parents that are in our position. Like, it's just because it's hard to do. And that's another reason that it was a bit of a deterrent. And then there's also these fallacies that I think most thoughtful people disregard, but this idea that, oh, she's become a mom, she's not as ambitious as she once was, or, oh, that's the end of that, you know, threshold of work. She's not going to maintain that output. And, you know, I feel like I have to be an exception to the rule, but I see so many of my friends that are mothers in this community have come out of the woodwork, and I see that they're like the hardest working people, and they are continuing to pursue their music because that's how they're preserving their specific identity too. And that's making me a better mom to Graham, because it's helping me maintain the essence of who I am and who I was before he arrived.
Yeah.
But he's in there too. So
oh yeah,
it's like holding on, but not super tight, and letting it become what it's supposed to be.
Well, it kind of sounds like 38 Special there. Hold on loosely, but don't let go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. If you cling too tightly, you're going to lose control.
Like, someone said this. Yeah.
See, I got you. We're on the same wavelength right now. Perfect.
That's right.
But I love what you're saying about the fallacy involved, that and the ambitions that you have out there. As you said, the things that you've already achieved, who you are, what makes you who you are, what makes you Maggie Rose, and what will continue to make you yourself moving forward. Motherhood is simply a part of that, but it is not the full definition of it. And I think that's a beautiful way of looking forward to how you're going to approach your familial life and your career. You're talking about your ambitions. I want to bring up your Grammy nominations again. How wonderful. Again, Best Americana Album in 2025 and Best Americana Performance in 2026. Amazing. I can only imagine it's a very validating and rewarding feeling to have, especially about 15 years in the industry, and here you are getting these accolades. It's like, it must be like, in a way, finally, but like, walk us through what that must feel like.
Yes. I mean, the first nomination I got was so dramatic because I was probably 5 months pregnant when I found out about the nomination.
Oh, wow.
I had just released. Yeah, it was, and No One Gets Out Alive was obviously a new album. I had released it in April of 2025. I was dropped by the label that I released it with very shortly after it was released. So that was devastating and confusing, and I was angry about having put this project together that I made without them, that they then absorbed and then waited for me to release. We released it, and then it was like it almost hurt me more than anything. I found out shortly after that news that Graham was on the way, and then we submitted for the Grammys anyway, just independently, and I found a new label home. I'm still with them, One Riot and Virgin now. And I found out that I was nominated for a Grammy in October. And it was pretty crazy. And the album was about, life itself and, kind of not waiting and putting off big plans. And this was a plan that was really big and one that I decided if I didn't seize, like with my husband and I, that it might eventually be something that made me resent music and what we do. So it just was really poetic how it all came together. And of course the validation of recognition from your peers is awesome. But I certainly believe in the divine, and that was the sign that, where I was on the right path.
Without a doubt. Okay. What divine intervention that is.
The second nomination when I was on a cruise ship and I couldn't get service to confirm. I'd asked Grace Potter to be on the song, and she said yes on the spot. And she's just amazing. And I love the song, but I wasn't expecting back-to-back nominations. And I got a text from my friend Tracy, and I was like going all over the ship trying to make sure that this wasn't like, I was like, you can't unring that bell. I'm not going to go tell my family. It's like, we got nominated again. And then I found out I was wrong. But then we were in fact nominated that last year too. So it was very exciting.
Incredible. I could just imagine you running around the cruise ship being like the "Can you hear me now" guy in those old Verizon commercials, just trying to get the service.
I sounded a little more desperate than the Verizon guy. I was like, I hope this won't work around the middle of the ocean. But it was very cool moments. And I do think the Grammys are so special in the regard that you have to be a music maker to vote. You can't campaign and politic the way you can with some other awards. So you really can be, an artist who breaks through without maybe the huge commercial success that is required of other, also prestigious but different awards.
Absolutely. It's truly a musician's award. You're right. There's so many things out there. It just kind of becomes a popularity contest rather than anything that has to do with one's actual talent or work ethic. So to be able to have that recognition from your peers, again, the validating sense of it all, the heartwarming, and again, that divine intervention, as we explained a moment ago, too. I think that's terrific. So with getting that validation recently, and, we've been talking a lot about creative freedom. We've been talking a lot about motherhood vulnerability. I'm sure these things are things that you talk about on your podcast, Salute the Songbird. And I've checked out a couple of them. I really loved the episode with Jewel in particular. That was really cool.
Yeah, Jewel is very enlightened. She knows, she gets it for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about this podcast for a second. Talk about, obviously, probably similar to some of the discussions we're having right now and the topics, but why even start your show in the first place? And what's the mission that you're trying to get out of it?
Yeah, we should do a collab, because I think we venture into mental health all the time, because you can't.
I would love to. Absolutely.
Yeah. You can't have two women who are in the industry not address, just the stamina that you have to have mentally to sustain a career in music. But I started it because I wanted connection, and the first episodes were recorded and released in 2020 during the pandemic, and I was just missing the connection I have with musicians, especially living in Nashville. I'd grown accustomed to just seeing people weekly at a live show or in a writing room, and it was just always available. And then I started getting suggestions from all sorts of people. Oh, you need to talk to this person. You need to talk to this person. And Nancy Wilson from Heart agreed to do it. Kathy Valentine from the Go-Go's, and then that's how I became friends with Allison Russell. Really was through a lot of these friendships that I have now in relationships were actually born in a time where we couldn't even be together because of these episodes. I've had Brittany Spencer on a couple of times now, and I was listening to all these albums, and it just allowed me to throw myself into the world of these other musicians, up and coming, firmly established, and realize all the similarities that we all shared in just our love for music, our need for connection, some of the struggles that we had dealt with, a lot of the advice that I got before I ever became a mother, some of the best advice came from those conversations. Like Martina McBride and I talked about how she managed it all. And it was such a gift to me to have people willing to go there with me. And it made me a better musician because I just was constantly consuming new music and reading these autobiographies of my guests. And it made our isolated worlds that we were all living in much bigger, and it created so much empathy within me for specifically the community of women that make music around me.
Incredible. Really incredible. I'm excited to dive more into the episodes. As I said, I checked out a couple. I haven't heard nearly all of it yet, but that's really beautiful. How
we're on a little hiatus right now because life is pretty.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah. And as you know, you're a great interviewer. It is a lot of work. And the best way to be a good interviewer and listener is by researching way more than you'll ever even talk about in the episode. So.
Oh yeah. No, you have all these notes, and it was like, I would love to touch on this, but will that happen? Who knows? It's wherever the conversation takes us to. I am one of those interviewers where it's like, I might have notes, I might have topics I want to talk about, but the moment the conversation happens and we go in one direction, throwing them all out the window at that point. It's like, this is where we're going with it.
That's why you're a pro.
I've been around. I've been doing it for a while. It's funny what you said about the pandemic, because one of the shows that I still produce outside of MHA, my last name is Walsh, and it's Walsh Wednesday. That's my main flagship podcast. I did that in college. It was a little entertainment series where I had like my classmates on to show off their music. Then when the pandemic happened, we did this thing called the Reflective Series, and that was really my first dive into mental health, really. It was never a part of my vernacular, my vocabulary. It wasn't front and center for me, but it was during the pandemic that really made me realize that. And it was the conversations that I had during that period that led me to now working with Mental Health America. And again, it was also through Walsh Wednesday. Andrew, who you met a second ago, I had him on Walsh Wednesday. Several months later, after working together, he's like, "Hey, Connor, do you want to start this department here?" And it's like, you never know what kind of connections are going to happen when you have these deep, intimate conversations. Sure, we were talking about the way that social media works online and whatnot, but there's something about podcasting, there's something about these interviews that touch upon a sense of rawness and realness, more so than a lot of the curated things that you see on Instagram and TikTok feed. And I'm grateful for how real it gets. And I'm grateful for you right now with how real we're getting. I appreciate it all.
Well, thank you for saying all that. I think the pandemic sucked. We can all agree that was awful. I feel like we're still untangling and recovering from that time.
Without a doubt.
Stillness, I think, made us kind of have to sit with the discomfort and look at the cracks. And I think with addiction and everything, that's why stillness is so scary, because you're going to look for anything to sort of numb or distract. And I appreciate that it's been destigmatized in the last 6 years the way that it has been. I also do, I try to focus on gratitude when I talk about mental health more, because some of these earlier episodes, if I'm completely honest, on Salute the Songbird, there are moments where I listen in review and I'm like, there's a lot of gratitude missing from what I was talking about too. And I think that's something that I need to actively work on, because there have been injustices done to me in the industry, and a lot of things have not been fun, and there's been really low points, but I would say I've gleaned that from the last 5 years. We need to talk about it, and we need to destigmatize it, and we also need to talk about what's working for us, and that works for me too. And
it sounds
to change.
Yeah, well, it sounds like in the earlier episodes, first of all, it was a very emotion-fueled time during the pandemic. So everybody felt scared. Everybody felt angry. There was a lot of emotions riding high. But it sounded like you needed to process it at that moment. And then to be able to process that and kind of speak it out, you're able to then experience, appreciate, and internalize that gratitude. I love what you're saying about gratitude and how we have to express that more. I've been doing a lot of programs with a local youth group, with Southern Dutchess Community Coalition. It's this wonderful program where it's teaching kids about mental health, substance use, that, and the positive things that you can do with your life. And one of the big questions we've been asking them, when you hear the term mental health, is that a positive connotation, a negative one, or a neutral one? And most of the answers have been set, the initial reaction is negative. They said when they hear mental health, it's negative. And then I try to ask, well, isn't moments of gratitude mental health? Aren't moments of excitement mental health? And they're like, oh, I never thought of it like that. But there's so many people who don't think about it like that.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that there's a negative connotation with it, though. I think that it is an epidemic right now. I think we should be actively combating it. And I think of gratitude as almost an exercise. And I also don't want to be like the Pollyanna. You're like, this girl's trying to tell me to be thankful for stuff, and I just want to be pissed off over here, which is totally valid too. And I support you. Go feel all the things. But I try to, I'm just bringing it up because I feel like it's been the biggest antidote to depressive patterns and things like that. And feeling like it's all an exercise in futility. Well, I don't feel that way because I try to exercise gratitude and call it optimism or whatever. But I think, I wouldn't believe that we're headed for a hopeful place and bring a child into the world. So I'm going to go lead with hope always.
That's a beautiful direction and a beautiful perspective to have. And I appreciate you sharing that with us, Maggie. And I want to continue on with this conversation of spreading that gratitude and moving it forward. Obviously, you working with MHA now, the fact that we're going to have the concert. But besides that, you've also worked closely with Musicians on Call, which is a great organization when it comes to bringing the healing power of music to healthcare workers, to patients families, things along those lines. That is a wonderful way of spreading hope and gratitude to a struggling community, regardless of who it is a part of it, whether you're working in it, you're receiving the help, whatever it is. Can you talk to us about your experiences through Musicians on Call?
Yeah, I just got to visit some veterans in particular at Vanderbilt. I would sing and perform, but a lot of it was actually about listening to what they had to say and sharing stories of some of their favorite live shows they'd been to, or my son's an engineer at this studio, and just talking about how much they appreciated just having company. And I think human contact and connection is so important. That's what I crave with live shows. And I think that in those spaces where, in recovery from surgery, or if you're ailing with an illness, you can feel pretty dehumanizing sometimes, even with the best care and people with the best intentions. So I think moments like that where you can really instill that sense of humanity in people, and doing something like exchanging stories and songs is about as human as it can get. So it was an honor. And also just kind of being able to go from room to room and gauge what level of involvement that person wanted to have is a good reminder to me that mental health is really about meeting people wherever they're at. And I was trying to do that for everyone that I was visiting. And I think we should do that with ourselves and check in and make sure we're doing the same thing.
No, I hear you there. The fact that you said, like, obviously the incidenting example of why you're there was to perform music, but how a lot of it was you listening. And most of the time people just need somebody to talk to. But then at the same time, when it comes to music is one of those wonderful things where when you're feeling at your lowest or your loneliest, music can be the thing that reminds you, is like, wow, somebody else feels this. There's an audience out there. Somebody else knows how I'm feeling. Somebody wrote this song for me. Somehow they wrote my life, and we cling on to those songs. I've said for forever, music is the universal language because it expresses emotions and no other form of communication can. So it's impressive. So to be able to be a steward of that and share your gifts, especially with Musicians on Call in these hospitals with these veterans, that is really powerful. Has there been a particular moment or a couple of moments that have really stood out to you when you're when you're reaching out to people?
Yeah, I think when you sing a song, I sang my own songs, but then how it remind them of a specific memory or live show that they attended with their wife when they were newlyweds, and just the triggering of these cool moments that give them something positive to reflect on. That's kind of a cool experience to watch music catalyze that recall. Also, it's very generous of them to let me into their space. It's an incredibly intimate moment. I mean, I think there were a few rooms where I was like, I think I'm more nervous in this moment with this person who's clearly hurting and needing a lot of comfort than I am on a stage in front of, huge audience. Yeah. And I think it's because of that just totally no barriers, vulnerability and intimacy that both of us were sharing with each other. Laying there in your hospital bed with bandages and, in your pajamas. This is not how you meet most people. So there's a huge generosity on their end to let me into their space. And it's a privilege. I definitely feel like, I've been invited to do something because of my connection to music that maybe most people wouldn't be welcomed into.
No, that welcoming sense and that generosity is key to all of that. And that's beautiful how people have been able to welcome you in, you're able to welcome them in, and it just enables this healing atmosphere. So as we're getting towards the end of this interview, speaking of the healing atmosphere of it all, let's bring it right back to the Sound of Nashville concert. We're bringing that sense of openness, welcoming energy to the Bardavon. What is it that you're hoping that audiences get out of the experience come October, and sharing with the Mental Health America of Dutchess County audience, and hopefully some new people that we're bringing in just because they just want to see some music?
Yeah, I hope that, first of all, I want everyone to have a good time. And I think we'll take them on a journey with the songs that we plan on playing. It's going to be a very dynamic show. There's introspective songs, fun get up and dance songs. But what I hope that they get out of the show, which is what I always get, is that we have an infinite number of distractions throughout the day. And for that 90 minutes or however long it is, it really can just be about us being together and in the moment, and not worried about all the other things that can tug us in a million directions. When I'm up there, that's my only choice, is to serve that moment. So hopefully people will be able to do that for themselves.
I think that's a huge lesson right there. Serve that moment, just a level of being present amongst all the different distractions that we have. I think that is wonderfully said, Maggie. Again, thank you for everything today. To everybody out there who is watching and listening, make sure that you check out the concert at Bethel Woods with Melissa Etheridge and Winona Judge. You said that was the other one. Fantastic. I didn't know that. I didn't know that Winona Judge was coming on to it too. Make sure you check that out on June 28th. There's going to be a whole crowd of us MHA people there, so you can come and celebrate and rock out with all of us. And then, of course, come out to the Sound of Nashville concert happening at the Bardavon on October 6th. It's going to be an incredible opportunity. We're going to have all the ticket information in the description of this episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Maggie, when it comes to doing any kind of collaboration in the future, I know I'm not a woman, but I've produced many women's issues podcasts, and I've learned a lot through it all. And also,
you're a supporter of women.
Absolutely.
You're an honorary songbird. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that. But I would love to, be a steward and advocate and a representative of MHA. And there's so many wonderful people, wonderful women, strong, powerful women that can also fill the seat as well. So hopefully this leads to incredible stuff.
Compilation. Thank you. I think even just a compilation of some of these moments in all these different conversations where we venture into the discussion of mental health, like there's a few nuggets of wisdom that we could compile together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be great. Maggie, before we completely wrap up, is there any last little nugget you'd like to share with our MHA listening audience right now? Could be about something we talked about, maybe something that we didn't touch upon. Is there any last little nugget you'd like to share with the audience?
I think, right now we started the conversation about social media and connection. I think that there's never too much letting people know just directly that you're thinking of them, that you see them. You're kind of maybe trying to be a little overachieving in our efforts to reach out to someone unsolicited who you think might appreciate hearing from you right now. Just because I think people are feeling a little more alone than they should. They're more loved than they are. So I think that would be my parting suggestion to everybody.
Beautifully said.
Call your mother.
Call your mother. Absolutely. Call your mother, whoever it is in your life. Tell them that they are appreciated. Tell them that they're loved. One thing's for sure. I appreciate you right now, Maggie. And I know that Dutchess County and the Hudson Valley and beyond are going to love you when you come back for Bethel and come back for the Bardavon. It's going to be phenomenal. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. And I'm so excited to keep collaborating with you further.
I appreciate you, Connor. Thank you. Looking
Absolutely.
forward to seeing you soon.
Mental Health America of Dutchess County and Reviver Entertainment Group present The Sound of Nashville in the Hudson Valley's Queen City, featuring headliner, Grand Ole Opry member Craig Morgan.
I'm the son of a third-generation farmer. I've been 18 years through a farmer's daughter. I'm a God-fearing, hard-working combat driver, hogging up the road on my plower, chugga-lugga-lugging 5 miles an hour. Oh my.
The Sound of Nashville, one night only, with supporting acts, 2-time Grammy nominee Maggie Rose, finalist of season 19 of The Voice and Hudson Valley native Ian Flanigan, viral sensation Jake Banfield, and special guest Broadway to country star Brooke Moriber. Craig Morgan, Tuesday, October 6th at the Bardavon Opera House in Poughkeepsie, New York. Visit bardavon.org for ticket information.
Hey there, and thank you very much for watching another episode of Your Best You, real conversations around mental wellness. Not only that, it's a Starlight Spotlight where we're focusing on people within the entertainment industry, talking about their success and their psyche. With us today, we have headliner of the Sound of Nashville benefit concert happening on October 6th at the Bardavon here in Poughkeepsie. He's a Grand Ole Opry member, ACM and CMT award nominee, platinum selling artist, known for hits like Redneck Yacht Club, International Harvester, Almost Home. He's serving as Chief Warrant Officer 2 with the 313th U.S. Army Band. With us today, we have singer-songwriter, musician, and activist Craig Morgan. Craig, how are you?
I'm good. I'm curious about my activist part. What am I an activist at?
Well, with all the work that you're doing with the U.S. Army and everything that you're doing to help veterans and soldiers, that is 100% activism.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I don't consider myself an activist. I consider myself a soldier, and I think it's important as soldiers that we take care of each other.
Amen to that. That's a really good frame of mind that you have with it. But you know what? You truly are an activist, you truly are a soldier, and you truly are an inspiration. When it comes to being an inspiration, everybody that I've talked to in regards to this concert, whether that be Maggie Rose, Ian Flanigan, Jake Banfield, Brooke Moriber, they have all spoken so highly of you. I believe you've only met Maggie, but the rest of them are familiar with your music and are very excited to be working with you. How do you feel to be joining this concert, helping out mental health services here in Poughkeepsie for this wonderful event with these very talented musicians?
I think it's important, extremely important. And I tell people all the time, our mental health is just as important as our physical health. In fact, your mental health can impact your physical health, your emotional status, everything about you. It's imperative that we pay attention to our mental health as individuals and as groups, people, family, friends. It's important that we're attentive to that.
Beautiful. I definitely want to touch more about the work that you're doing in the mental health realm, but I want to stay on the topic of being an inspiration. You went viral several months ago when you formally invited Jelly Roll to the Grand Ole Opry, right after he spoke to Joe Rogan about his recovery, specifically citing Almost Home as an inspiration during that tough period while he was incarcerated. How does it feel nearly 25 years later when it resonates with your peers, contemporaries, and fans? What does that mean to you?
It's very humbling. I'm grateful for the opportunity, for one, to get to do what I do for a living, to get to sing and write songs. And I mean, that's how I get paid. So I still have to pinch myself sometimes 20 plus years later thinking about it. But I will tell you, the two words I use to describe it most are grateful. I'm grateful beyond words. And I'm humbled by the fact that I still get to do this, one, and two, knowing that it's impacting the way that it is. I've always had a great deal of appreciation of how music impacts and changes people's lives. But it's different when you're that guy who had a song or songs that impact people in such a way that it changes their lives. And I don't take that for granted. I will tell you, I don't take any of the credit. I give God all the credit. To him be the glory, because I do believe that he's laid it all out. And as long as I'm pursuing my relationship with him, he'll use me in ways that I could never do, or a record label could never do, or no one could ever put together. And for that, I'm grateful.
Amen. God is great in that way, and that's great that you're able to express your faith in that degree. Like somebody like Jelly Roll, not only were you able to invite him into the Grand Ole Opry, you've actually had a moment to record Almost Home together a couple of years ago. What was that like, bringing two generations of musicians together to create something that is everlasting and timeless?
Oh, it was awesome. I love Jelly. I've come to be a friend. He's a good friend, a good dude. I love where, this is a guy who has such an inspirational story, and he's using it for the betterment of not only himself, but everyone around him. And he's also, I will tell you, when I first met Jelly, he has an entourage of people, from family to friends to everybody. There's 20, 30, 40 people around him all the time. But when we went to work in the studio, he literally drove himself in, walked in the studio by himself. He is a normal person who's had an abnormal and an extremely exceptional story. And I think that's important to use that, again, to try to help other people. And that's exactly what he has done and is doing still today.
That's incredible. And that's so powerful that you guys were able to birth this friendship out of this music. Again, when you wrote the song, you didn't expect where it would take you in life and the people that you were going to meet and the resonance that it would still have all this time later, which is incredible. You said a moment ago, you don't see yourself as an activist, you see yourself as a soldier. And I want to talk about that a little bit. One of the things that we're really excited about here at MHA is the fact that you have this incredible military background. MHA of Dutchess County has one of the biggest veterans programs here in New York with advocacy groups, recovery, social events, so much more. So I know a huge population of our community is really excited to learn more about your story. You originally joined the U.S. Army back in '85, and then nearly 40 years later, you re-enlisted on the Grand Ole Opry stage. We're still talking Grand Ole Opry right now. And today you're assigned to the 313th Army Band, working on soldier-led suicide prevention initiatives using music therapy. Walk us through why you even re-enlisted and tell us about the power of the work that you're doing today.
Well, I'll start with the reenlistment. I reenlisted because when I left, I had about 17 years time in service. And it's a lot to walk away from. But at the time, I will tell you, hindsight's 2020. Had I known then what I know now, I would have stayed in and finished my time and probably more. But I didn't feel like at the time that I was able to do justice to both employers, the Army and the music industry. And my career was at a point that like I said, I was so busy. I just didn't feel like I was doing justice to both. Not seeing that I was, I made the decision to just walk away. So when offered the opportunity to come back in, I thought it was great. And again, experience showed me that I could do both. And so I was able to re-enlist and join and marry both of my relationships back together again in the Grand Ole Opry, which was just, one, it had never happened. So to be a part of something like that, it was really special. And I take that very serious. I take my career in the military very serious. I love the United States Army. I love what it stands for. I love how what it represents. And this year, as we celebrate our 250th, it's even more impacting. And I'm a part of that, not only as an entertainer, but as a soldier. So to be a part of that is really exceptionally rewarding and humbling. And again, I'll always revert to those words. I'm just so grateful to be able to do it all. That's why I went back in. I still didn't really answer your question. The reason I went back in was I wanted to get that letter that hangs on my wall that says, retired from service to your nation. Having that much time invested and not having that letter that says, you get good conduct after every 3 years. It says, thank you for your service. But having that retirement letter says you fulfilled your commitment to your nation. Mm-hmm. And I've always wanted that. So I'm grateful that I will be able to have that. And it just reignited that relationship with the folks in the military, not just past, but even current military service members. I feel like I have a lot to offer them, even as far as, experience in the military, combat, all of these things where I can communicate those learning thought processes to all of these new members in the military. So that's why I went back in.
Wow.
And the current situation, what I'm working on right now is a soldier-led music initiative. So we have Army band folks that are singing, playing, engineers in the initial recordings, all of this stuff. And because I do this for a living in my civilian occupation, I got to marry all of that with my civilian counterparts. And we've developed a product of 6 songs that I think are going to absolutely change the mindset of some of these service members that might be going through some tough times. And not only the service members, but their families, friends, the civilian populace. We created a music project that will make people think. And that's the whole idea. Our objective is to stop soldiers and stop anyone really. But for me as a soldier, I want to stop soldiers from doing that. I want to stop soldiers from going into those bad places and doing the things that remove them from the lives of others. I don't want them to kill themselves anymore. It's just that simple. I'm going to say it. And that's where we're at. And I told someone one time, I'm not trying to save one. I'm trying to save them all. And I think that should be our mindset. We should stop trying to get away from, if I can just save one, we need to save every one of them. We need to stop them from thinking that is the only way out. And I think that this music will be a door opener for that thought process.
Yeah. Oh my God, how powerful that is. And I apologize. I am welling up a little bit. I'm thinking about a friend of mine who was serving in the Army that unfortunately took his life. I believe it was about 2 weeks before he passed. We were just messaging each other, talking about guitars. He was a huge music buff, and we were always sharing that. I'm a musician too. And we're just sharing that moment together. And then, unfortunately, about 2-3 weeks later, he took his own life. I think about him often. So I think about the work that you're doing and what you're doing to help save those lives. I know it means a lot to a lot of the people out there for MHA, but it means a lot to me. As we wrap up this interview, has there been a particular moment that you feel comfortable sharing where somebody's come up to you and said, holy crap, you saved my life?
Oh, absolutely. I can tell you one story in particular. I actually wrote this in my book. A gentleman in Washington, we played the Washington State Fair. We headlined that fair that year. And he came up to me and he was standing over to the side. And I, for whatever reason, I think I'd launched a new album. So I agreed to, after the show, to sign everybody's new album. Well, there was a line. It was a 3-hour line. And I told him, I seen he had a prosthetic leg. I said, come on up. You don't have to wait. And he said, no, I want to wait till then. I got something to tell you. So he literally waited 3 hours. And he was the last one. And I said, man, you didn't have to wait. He said, yes, I did. I had to tell you the story. He said, your music saved my life. And I said, bro, my music didn't save your life. God saved your life. But I do want to hear how God used my music. So tell me the story. And he said, I was in Iraq in 2000 whatever. And he said, we were driving down the road and I was listening to a CD on a portable CD player. And it was a song called Paradise that you had written. And he said, it skipped. And I leaned down to hit play on it where it would quit skipping. And a sniper shot through the window and missed. And I was like, wow. I'm like, but again, that wasn't me. That was God. And he said, yeah, fast forward a bunch of years. I was sitting in my kitchen and life was just too much. I'd lost my family. I'd lost my leg. I lost a lot. My life just wasn't working. And I remember having the pistol in my hand and contemplating doing this. He said, I was over it. I was done and felt like this was the only way to alleviate all of these problems. And he said, a song came on the radio and I heard it called Almost Home. And he said, I didn't do it. And I'm grateful to this day that I didn't, because my life has turned back around. And I said, well, again, that wasn't me. That was God. But it is impacting, knowing that music can change your thought process. It can change your mind. Sometimes you just need to hear it, and knowing that there is help there. And that's why I'm so excited about this new project. I feel like this project that I'm doing as a warrant officer in the Army with other musicians, military musicians. And again, we're working with my civilian counterparts as well, my people that I've worked with as Craig Morgan, to create a product that I know that when people hear it, if they are having any thoughts whatsoever, it might encourage them to seek help. And that's, I think all of us as humans should be doing everything we can to try to help other people in that way.
Craig, this is phenomenal. When can audiences expect this 6-song project? I'm very curious about this now.
Yeah, you and me both. I don't know. It's kind of up to the Army. I'm almost done with my part, and then I will turn it over, basically like turning in my project, and the powers that be will dictate what our next moves and next steps are.
Understandable. Craig, I know you got a hard cutoff time. I greatly appreciate you. Is there any last little nugget you want to share with the MHA audience ahead of the Sound of Nashville concert that we're going to be having in October?
Just really looking forward to the show. Excited about the lineup. Maggie's a sweetheart and one of the most amazing female vocalists out there. Love her. Can't wait to visit with her again. People think we all hang out all the time, but we're all working so much. Our paths cross, and that's our moment of regenerating that energy for each other. So I'm looking forward to seeing her as well as the other artists. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Terrific. Craig, thank you so much. All the best on the road right now. We will see you in October. To all of you guys, come on out October 6th to the Bardavon. Craig, again, thank you.
Thank you, brother.